T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Movies and Beyond. Once again, I am Michael, and today it's Sunday. Mad Matt, how you doing today, sir?
Doing fantastic, Michael. I'm doing fantastic. We are diving into Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and man, that's a franchise I love. And I'm stoked. You know, we had a bye last weekend, and that always bums me out. But we're back. It was a great week. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. How about yourself?
I'm not feeling too bad. Now, this franchise for me, like we talked a little bit, backstage about, is not my franchise. You know what I mean? But so I spent a lot of this week watching 9 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. I wanted to be freaking fresh. I wanted to know what I was talking about. It's a rough week, man. Some of these. Whew,
I envy you, though. I've seen them all. They're in my brain, but probably not as fresh as you.
I am jealous of you, my friend.
I was a little too busy to freshen up on them, but I got this. I know my Texas Chainsaw for the most part.
Whew, some of these. But we will get into that in a little bit. Let's say what's up to the people in the chat. I always like to do that. Let's see who we got here. Jerry Wilson. Hello, Michael and Matt. Hope all is well. What's up, Jerry? I hope everything's well with you too, sir.
Good to see you, Jerry. Good to see you, buddy.
Russell is in the chat. What's up, everyone? I smashed that like button before I came in this awesome stream and chat. Happy Sunday, everyone. What's up, Russell? And happy Sunday, brother.
Yeah, good to see you, Russell.
Russell's also saying this is going to be a tough one to rank Leatherface. It is definitely going to be a tough one.
I'm sure Russell's bouncing it around his own ranking, which hopefully we'll get to hear later on.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I like so much is when we're doing these ranking videos, kind of seeing where everyone else stands. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And it's it's either bang on what we're talking about. Definitely, me and you are never on the same page. With that stuff. But it's always nice to get the other perspectives in there to see like, oh, why are they thinking, what they're thinking and stuff like that. I always enjoy seeing those. Teresa Stevens in the chat. Hello, gang. Here we go. It seems like it's been a month since we got to do this. It has been a couple of weeks, and I'm happy to see you here, Teresa. How you doing?
Hello, mother. Hello. Good to see you.
Russell is also saying Texas Chainsaw. This is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun, too. Definitely looking forward to this one. Although it does have me a little bit out of my comfort zone, when it comes to knowing,
which I like that. I love it. Yeah. That's how I felt with the Scream, man.
That's
how I felt with the Scream.
And that's the thing, man. You want to make sure that you're, doing something for everyone, and it's not always going to be something I know everything about. It's not always going to be something that you know everything about, and I want to make sure that, we have something for everybody here.
So you're saying it's not all about me, huh?
Yeah, it's not all about you, buddy. It's not all about me either. It's for everybody watching in here. That's
absolutely.
Allison is in chat saying, hello, guys. What's up, Allison? How you doing?
Hello, Allison. Good to see you on here.
Oh, I really wish I could pronounce this name, but I want to say hi. Hi everyone. I do you know how to pronounce this name, Matt?
I'm gonna go. That's my good friend Lydia right there.
All right.
Great to see you on here, Lydia.
What's
And
up, Lydia?
I know she's a big Texas Chainsaw fan, so
Oh, so she's gonna be able to call me out on my bullshit, like if I
I
don't know
believe
something and just try
so.
to like pull something
I
in on that.
believe so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, that's great. No, I'm just kidding. It's good to have you here. And James has entered the chat. James is saying hi there, one and all. Hope everybody had a great weekend. What's up, James? How you doing, brother?
Great to see you, James, as always, man. Love you, buddy.
Polar's in the chat saying, hey, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. What's up, Polar? I hope you had a great weekend, too.
Good to see you, Polar.
And Katie from Popping the Popcorn, one of my mods, is here saying, hi, friends. What's up, Katie? It's good to see you.
Hello, Katie. Welcome. Welcome.
And I think that we got everybody for that one. All right. Okay. So
Nice.
I hate everybody if I missed it. Sorry. I think I got everybody. That's one of the things too, when I go through these chats that I want to say hi to everyone and everything, but they get in the side conversations and I want to make sure that I can get through everything. But all right, so you feel really good about Texas Chainsaw stuff.
I wouldn't say really good because there's Texas Chainsaws that I watch religiously,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a few that it's been a minute, and there's a reason why.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little upset with myself. I didn't get a freshen up on some of the other films, but all around, yeah, I feel good, man.
So I have a question after watching all of them,
Okay.
that I didn't really know, that I couldn't put together myself. And it had to do with the family of,
Is this a question for me?
yeah, it's a question for anybody that knows the answer to this,
Okay.
to be honest.
Okay.
It's something that I couldn't, wrap around in my head. But granted, I didn't do any really, any research with it, either. But, kind of hoping that, somebody knew the answer and could tell me, why, you have the Sawyer family, right?
Hmm.
And then you also have the Hewitts.
Yes. Now, I'm actually hoping. I'm with you. I hope someone can shine some light on that. I was just talking about this with our good friend Lydia.
Okay.
And Michael, I don't have the answer, but I'm going to go with there's some holes in their game. That's
Really,
what
I was kind of hoping that it was like, okay, well,
Well,
this
I'm not saying
person married this
I'm not
person.
saying it. That's what it is. Someone like I'm hoping someone has an explanation, but
Right.
yeah, the Sawyer, the Hewitt, is Leatherface Bubba, is
And then
Leatherface
there
Thomas
was
Brown
one where
Hewitt.
they were the slaughters, the slaughter. There was a third family in one of them, and it was a whole nother name. I want to say that it was the Next Generation, that they had a different last name that was like Slaughter or anybody that's it. I watched it once, you know what I mean, and they mentioned their last name, and I noticed that it wasn't Hewitt, and I noticed that it wasn't Sawyer. So if there are any Texas Chainsaw gurus in here, they could kind of draw that family tree
Nah,
that
that's new to me. I don't
yeah.
recall a third name that I remember, but that's interesting.
But definitely the Hewitts and the Sawyers. Like I did notice, a big difference with that. I'm wondering that, now even in, another one, they had another name, but it was due to marriage. It was fuck, I can't remember. It was from
The Leatherface, the prequel,
it was
where she got married, kind of
where
thing.
it was the one where the girl, it was 3D. They had a different name, but it was through like marriage.
Yes,
It was attached to Sawyer,
and she
and you
realized
did see that.
she was a Sawyer. Yeah.
Right. So, That was just one of the things, before we got into the rankings and everything, that I was going to see if maybe somebody could shine some light on me, with what was going on there, because that was something that I kind of struggled with. You know how my brain works, man. I've got
Yeah, it seems.
ADD so bad that and OCD, and that stuff just sticks with me. It's just a loop. I get in a loop
Leatherface
with
has
it.
had an identity crisis over the years, is what's going on.
Yeah, and he had a lot of different first names too.
Yes.
So I mean, it was just, especially watching all of them together the way I did. I like, some days I would watch two of them, some days I would watch one. Uh, excuse me, pardon me. It was just something that kept looping, in my head. Like, how the hell did we get here? And it just kind of bugged me. Now, if it had been spread out over years, I probably wouldn't even thought, anything about it. But
I like that
definitely.
shirt you got on there, Michael. Let's take a look at that.
The property at Camp Crystal Lake? Yeah, definitely rocking the Camp Crystal Lake Friday the 13th
like
stuff
that,
whenever
man.
I can. It's
I
definitely a
I would have put a Texas
favorite of mine.
Chainsaw shirt on, but I do not own one.
Yeah, I don't either.
That is definitely on my list.
Yeah, for
Everyone
sure.
needs a Everyone needs a Texas shirt, man. What's the matter with me?
All right, let's see. James is saying, it's been a long time since I've seen all the Leatherface films. I watched 74 version last night. That's cool, man. I watched 03 last night.
James is doing his homework. He knew this was coming up.
He's getting it in there. Russell is saying, did anyone watch the Sawyer Massacre fan film? I have not. Is it newer? Is it older? Let me know, Russell.
I like the name.
Yeah, definitely a good name. There's also one that All Rise Films did that I want to check it out. It's called Leather, and they were the ones. All Rise Films did the Scream versus Halloween short fan film, and they had one out called Leather, and that's something that I definitely want to check out too. I saw the trailer for it; it looks good. Something I definitely wanted to watch with you guys all at some point, so I haven't sat there and actually watched it myself.
I'll say I have actually not seen a single Texas Chainsaw fan film.
Yeah,
but seeing Sawyer Massacre, that has definitely caught my attention. So
yeah, hell yeah, man, definitely. We like to show the love to the fan films on here.
Yeah,
that might not be now. I probably need a couple week break from chainsaws because I feel like that. I'm starting to hear that sound in my sleep from, the amount of Texas Chainsaw that I've watched over the last week. I'm still looking for an answer. That man had an identity crisis for almost 50 years. Yeah. See, like that's so just something.
True, Lydia.
It's funny, with me not being a Texas Chainsaw super fan, that was something that was, rattling around in my, my head that, after I watched them, that I'm just like, we're dealing with a couple different names here. How many of these cannibalistic families are there? And how many of them does Leatherface know? Like, where he's bouncing around from family to family here. Awesome Camp Crystal Lake shirt, Micah. Thank you, Russell. I appreciate that. It was a gift from a good friend, and I definitely appreciate it. Jerry is saying, beginning in 2006, reveals Leatherface's real name is Thomas Brown Hewitt, and his mother's name is Sloan. In this continuity, Leatherface is raised by the Hewitts, a family of inbred cannibals. So my question is, if he's a Hewitt in the beginning, 2006. So does that mean that the beginning in 2003 that they changed the story to where they're no longer the Sawyers don't exist, or is it
did the Sawyers come later?
I mean, I don't
know if that's a prequel, because that the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, is a prequel to 03.
It is.
So I hate to say
but
it, I think we can talk this till we're blue in the face, and maybe
I feel like we can too. Like it's like every answer I get more questions come out of it. Like you give me one answer and I have three questions, that end up. Yeah, it's a tough one for me.
But thank you, Jerry. I like that.
Yeah, Jerry, he did some work there for us. I definitely appreciate that one, buddy. Polar is saying I'm finding Sawyers and Hewitts, but not a third family name. Yeah, I'll look into what that is before we get off of here, but I'm pretty sure they said another name. But then again, I watched.
Polar, that's because Michael was drinking at the time when he was watching this film.
Probably. So you know what?
There is no third name. There's...
You know what? Now I really hope there is, just so you guys can be wrong.
I bet you do.
Russell is saying it's based on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's focused on the Sawyer family. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Kind of like a little explanation of the family. Like that'd be pretty cool. I'd like to see that. The only one I don't like to see origins to is Michael Myers. That's the only one. Anybody else, like, yeah, show me, all that stuff. James also saying wearing that shirt might save you from having a machete through the head. I mean, it could.
I doubt it.
I mean, it didn't help the counselors, and they were all wearing Camp Crystal Lake shirts. Might make me a target, James, if anything else. Teresa's saying it's going to be very hard for me to rank these films since I watched them with my blanket over my head. When are we going to do The Walking Dead again, Michael? Teresa, it is funny that you ask about The Walking Dead. Because I am thinking Wednesday, because we have a lot of stuff that we did not even touch on when we got there. I mean, there's so much stuff, and I finished watching the series. I finished it for the final, the second time around. So everything's fresh in my head, and we didn't even get to touch on the Whisperers. But I do know that I am eventually going to get punched in the face, because since I did watch that, whenever someone is annoying to me, I'm pulling an alpha and beta move and going shh, and I have to feel like that's coming from that. So definitely want to talk about the Whisperers, and I'd love to do that Wednesday if we could. Polar is saying I think they just renamed the family, and it's possible. Like that's definitely that's what I'm leaning towards. But I kind of want to I just want to see somebody say it. I guess
it's like why does in part 5 the Myers house go to a Victorian style? Who knows, man?
I mean, it could, but I mean, it's not like they changed Michael's name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but then again, Leatherface is more known as Leatherface and not as his last name isn't really included the same as Michael. So it's not really on that same level, but I don't know. It just, how I am. It's just weird.
Yeah. We'll move on though.
We'll try. We will try.
We will move on.
James is saying poor Thomas is a mutt. He might be. He might not know where we're at. No, you shh. That's you. Mama, I saved you some beans. Russell is saying the Whisperers were creepy. They were creepy, but I really enjoyed the Whisperers story.
I did too. I did too.
I like Beta, like the fact that he was a rock star before he was before he was Beta. Like I found that crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dude. I can talk about
Beta was ruthless.
Yeah, man.
Ruthless and loyal.
Yeah, he was loyal.
One loyal SOB, man.
And to watch him and Negan like converse with each other,
yes,
like that was two opposite ends of the spectrum. Like when he was as loyal as he was, standing there with Alpha, and he walks away, and Negan's standing right next to him. He goes, "So is this kind of like a Beta with benefits thing?" Or like for some reason I actually snorted. I laughed so hard when I saw that. I just wasn't ready for it. But Negan's personality was really brought out, and it meshed well with Beta's non-personality. You know what I mean?
Negan's a trip, man.
Teresa is saying, awesome. I will hold you to it Wednesday. Yes, I would like to do Wednesday if we could do Wednesday. I'm thinking probably 7 p.m. ish. We can hop on there, and I'll look into it, and I'll definitely keep you updated on what we're doing with that. All right. I think that we are pretty much. Oh, we got. Okay. I think they're actually is a third name, and it was in Next Generation. They started going by. Holy shit.
Lydia, some things just keep to yourself.
Thank you. See, yeah, but you know what? Justice prevails, and I know I'm not crazy, but yes.
Slaughters?
Yes. So,
Man.
yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Lydia. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I you know, you would if you would have came up there and said, nope, it was only 2, I'd probably been like, all right, my brain's getting old. I, probably just. But yes, there was a third. But I mean,
that's
I don't
exactly
really.
What you said? Didn't you say the Slaughters?
It was like Slaughter. It said Slaughters or Slaughter. Yeah, it was right around there. Like, by no means am I an expert or know anything, but yeah, it was. Yeah. Teresa is saying Alpha was super creepy. I loved Alpha. Not a lot of people liked Alpha, but I Alpha was a great.
I'll jump on that with you. I liked Alpha too.
Yeah. I mean, Alpha was a great, she was so much different from Negan. You know what I mean? Like, so when you got that savior, that long savior story arc that was like 2.5 seasons long, you were ready for something new. Like, they got really repetitive with those. I think it was like the end of season 6, all of season 7, all of season 8. By the time season 8 was over, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the saviors, but we've been doing this for 2 years at this point. Like, it's time for something new. So, when Alpha came in with the Whisperers, and it was a breath of fresh air, even though you do lose some plot armor with the when the Whisperers show up. And I was definitely cool with that to kind of stir the pot and shake things up. Jerry is saying Negan had to be drunk. He might have been, but I mean, come on, man. There's nothing like Negan's. I like his lean back when he talks. He's just sitting back, that cocky. Look, all Negan. That's my boy. Russell's saying, the guy who played Beta was also Opie in Sons of Anarchy. Yes, he was, and that was another great show that I absolutely loved. Sons of Anarchy. Now, granted, it did get a little, repetitive at times with Sons, but overall, I thought it was a great show. Poor Opie, that was heartbreaking. James is saying, I have a cousin who lives in a house that looks like Leatherface's home. That probably doesn't surprise me too much, James, but I love that you have that. It's freaking awesome. Lydia's saying, I guess Slaughter was the best thing they could come up with, but that fits the whole movie, Like, what do they do? Well, they slaughter people. It's like, you've got it.
Movie. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, you got it. Like that, yeah. And we'll get to, how we felt about that movie. Teresa's saying Samantha Morton, I think is her name, and she is a phenomenal actress. The way she played Alpha. Hey, look, I'm all about that. And we'll get into that. And Matt, you have to be careful with these guys, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes you come on here to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street, and next thing you know, you have detoured into The Walking Dead to the likes that you have never seen before.
I've heard that.
It'll happen with the I did not know we had so many Walking Dead fans, and believe me, I love it. But they will definitely like to go with The Walking Dead. There's nothing wrong with that, but we got some Texas Chainsaw to get into today.
We do. There'll be a time for Alpha and Negan.
Oh, there'll always be a time for Alpha and Negan.
Don't you guys worry.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and run this intro, and we can get into ranking these Texas Chainsaw movies.
Let's do it.
All right. We will be right back.
Jones mess with the wrong melon farmers. Thug life. And here we go.
I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart, I knew hell would have him.
You are all my children now. Wish I had you all alone, just the two of us.
See here. Let me go ahead and unmute us. That will freaking help. Okay. So let me get this together. I have my list ready. Matt, is your list ready?
I'm ready. My list is ready.
You are ready to go. So let me make sure that I do this right. So let me get this here. And I'm going to put our number 9 up on the screen because there are 9 movies in this franchise. And I'm going to go ahead and let you go first today.
Okay.
Gladly. To get going with this. And I, looking at these movies, I have a feeling that probably my number 9 will probably be your number 9 because it was far and, well, at least in my opinion, way worse than the others. But go ahead, sir, with your number 9.
Guys, number 9 is coming in as Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
What, the Slaughter family?
The Slaughter family.
They were the best family.
Well, now, guys, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard or read somewhere this movie was so bad, Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger both wanted their names removed from the credits. I'm serious. If someone can back me up on that, has also read that. I have heard that is true. That is a fact. Now, this is a film I did not get to, fortunately, check out, too recent. But guys, I've seen it, and man, is it just god awful. And I won't go into too much detail.
Oh, I'm going to.
And I can't wait. And that's really the reason why. I know you've checked this film out recently, so I'm actually excited to hear what you have to say. But from what I remember, it's just bad all around. Plot, the visuals, and it's a shame too, because let's face it, Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, those are 2 phenomenal actors, man.
Oh, big names. They've been in some big theaters. They've been in some big movies.
Yeah. And it's just almost comical that they're in this film. But yeah, man, hard to watch, bad all around. I want to say, and you guys know I'm all about the look, especially when you're talking about a slasher. Get Michael looking right. I believe even Leatherface looks like absolute shit.
Yeah.
In the film, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and I'm a Texas guy. They don't have to be perfect. You got a guy wielding a chainsaw, slicing up some people. I'm down. But this one, man, it's hard to watch. It's cringy. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: Next Generation, number 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and piggyback on that one. The Slaughter family, and I'm going to always say that now that it's been verified and I'm not crazy. Yeah, it really didn't do it for me. Like you already spoke about Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey being in this movie. I will talk about the one thing I did like about this movie. And it wasn't the whole movie. It was just the very beginning. Was that camera sound that they use? I absolutely love it. I've always loved that. And that is the first movie that I really, they used it early and often in the very beginning of the movie. But yeah, after that, it was, it was just terrible. I was like, oh, that camera, I really like that sound, that's good. And then just from there on, it was just a shit show. Going from the beginning where the kids were coming from that prom and they got in that car wreck, and Matthew McConaughey shows up in the tow truck and just he's got the robotic leg, and he steps out and he kills the kid laying there.
You don't forget that leg.
Oh no, and I've got plenty to say about that leg. Like, believe me. And then he's chasing the kid that was standing there waiting, in like a ridiculous manner, like to hit him with his truck. And he's chasing him for quite a while up and down this road. And it's like, not once did you not think about like getting off the road and running through the woods? Like, he's got a robotic leg. Like, he stayed on the road and was trying to just weave on the road when he could have easily just got off the road and ran through the woods. I mean, I'm not saying it would have ended any better for him. Being Texas Chainsaw, I'm sure Leatherface was standing behind a tree or something.
Well, he's going to have a better
God
shot.
Damn it, man. Like, get off the road. And I'm just yelling at the screen, like, get off the road, get off the road. And I understand that you're young and you're dumb, but come on, man. Like, move. Like, it made me think of Austin Powers when that guy was standing in front of that vibe roller. And he's like, no. And he's like, get out of the way. And the guy's like, no. Like, that's what it made me think of, to a point to where I was laughing. And when he finally hits him, I'm like, see, look what happened. Like, look what you did. And another thing that I wanted to get, he had Matthew McConaughey had that remote control for his leg. He operated it with a TV remote, and and then Renee Zellweger gets a hold of the remote, and he's got a backup remote, and they're making his leg move, fighting back and forth with the remote. And I am crying at this point. I'm laughing so hard. Like, it is so bad. And Leatherface in this movie, he was more annoying than anything else. It's like, it wasn't even, if I was a huge Leatherface fan, I would have been very upset with this movie. Like, what did you do to him?
Oh,
like,
I'm sure it pissed some people off.
Oh, it was so bad. But yeah, and then there was like a business guy, that was there that kind of had like power over the slaughters, that ended up taking the girl to the hospital at the end. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around what the hell was going on with that. Like, I just couldn't put that together.
Let me ask you one question, Michael.
Yeah.
If I may. What would you rather watch? Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation or Halloween Resurrection?
Oh, God damn it.
You can get back with me tomorrow if you need to, but
yeah.
Honestly, what do you think? Those are your.
I might just take a nap while everybody else watches.
You got to pick one, Michael.
I'd probably say, so here's where I'm conflicted. Okay, now which do I think is a better movie? Halloween Resurrection. Okay, but it does Michael so dirty that I feel it is disrespectful.
Okay.
To where I am not as connected as, to Leatherface, to where if it's a shit show against him,
you're not as pissed off.
I'm not as shitty about it. But, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to stay awake longer watching Resurrection than I would this movie. At least even though it's bad. I'll go with Resurrection, but
okay.
Yeah, like this was terrible. Like, if we're putting these together, I'm definitely putting this below Resurrection, which in my list is really hard to do.
Yeah, that tells you there, ladies and gentlemen, how bad this movie
is. This was definitely a rough one for me, for sure. Let's see what everybody in the chat has to say about this one. Russell is saying number 9, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I feel you, buddy. It's Polar is saying, and it begins, and yeah, it does. John is saying, I'm sure after the fact, but I guarantee they cashed that check. Yeah. I bet they did too. They may have wanted their name off of there, but I'm sure that money still went into the bank. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Alice is saying that's one I haven't seen. Sounds like I didn't miss much. You missed a good laugh. That's pretty much about it. Yeah. James saying Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. I guess Patrick Stewart wasn't playing Leatherface. No, Leatherface was so annoying. Like it was bad.
And you don't want Leatherface to be annoying. I mean, come on.
No. James also saying the movie sounded like it wasn't worth watching. Not really. And Russell's backing me up on that one to say, nope, it wasn't. Lydia saying, what do you mean? You don't want to see Busta Rhymes bust a move in Resurrection? I went with Resurrection, okay? Like I did. I went there.
And that's the best part, man. I
mean, that kick out the window.
Who doesn't want to see Busta Rhymes go at it with Michael Myers? Come on.
It's
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
John is saying Texas Next Generation easily. Russell is saying Halloween Resurrection all day over that.
I agree.
No, and I haven't even seen this movie. Well, it doesn't sound like you're missing much. So,
Kim, good to see you on here.
And Teresa's saying, I'd rather watch The Walking Dead over either one of those films. Sorry, Michael, I couldn't resist. See, I'm telling you, Matt, even Teresa, she's pulling that.
Oh, she's a Walking Dead fanatic.
I know.
And fanatic. Make no mistake about it.
They are going that direction.
Jam.
I'm telling you. All right. We are to number 8.
All right. So number 8 for me. Guys, I've got to say, it is not too far from Next Generation. This movie, and I'm talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, poorly made is the best way I can put it. And I wish I could remember. I watched a documentary on this one, and there was tons of issues with production where it was, put on hold and changing scripts midway through, yada, yada, yada. And it shows. It's a disaster. It's one of those films where you're not sure what way they're, which direction they're trying to go with it. And I'm not sure if they even knew. It's bad, guys. It's bad. It's bad, but I can watch it 10 times over before Next Generation, I guess I have to say. It has a very solid Leatherface, I would say. He's very decent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one good thing I'll say about this film. And that can go a long way. A good Leatherface, that represents the character well, looks good. But I apologize again. This is a film I've not seen in quite some time, but it's bad, ladies and gentlemen. It's bad. There's the plot's absolute garbage. There's bad acting all around, all across the board. But as far as I can remember, there are some decent kills, and I did not hold anything against the Leatherface for this film. He did his part. So I'll say that about it. And that's about all I have. But coming in at number 8, Texas Chainsaw 3.
Yeah.
And I want to say, is that one, I don't know if it's called that, but that's where on the cover is the big chainsaw.
Yes, it is Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
It is.
So, it's a hard watch, and I think most of it, like I said earlier, does come down to plot and storyline.
Yeah, definitely.
Is just weird where and they had a lot of issues. I know that, and I do believe they literally like midway through just completely like rewrote the script, and it was a shit show. Yeah. It was a shit show as far as production, but yeah.
All right. Well, my number 8 is not Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Okay.
It is Leatherface 2017.
All right.
This movie for me, granted, it was clean because it was new. The beginning of it felt like a Texas Chainsaw movie, where they have the little kid, who was, Jed, who was, Leatherface, with the chainsaw, cutting the guy, sitting at the table. Then he gets put into the home, or the what is that? It's like a youth.
Yeah, almost like it looks like like a youth detention center type of
Yeah.
thing.
And they changed their names in there, so they don't know who they are, which I see what they were going for, because then you didn't really know who Leatherface was, at that point.
Right.
So where that movie makes you think that it's the one kid, and it turns out, to be the other. There were some okay characters in it, but I don't feel like there was enough for me to get invested in any of them. For the simple fact that it just didn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw movie to me. And even when Leatherface was born, and those things happened to him to make him who he was, it just didn't seem like Leatherface to me. It didn't feel like it was really. I just think that I just feel like it was terrible. You know what I mean? Like the one kid that I liked being Leatherface wasn't even Leatherface. And it went with the other kid. And I know they were going for kind of like the shock factor to say, like, oh, you thought we were going in this direction, but we really went here. And to me, it just didn't feel like Leatherface. When you look at, like, past Leatherfaces, you kind of have this idea of, who he is and, what he's about. And that, and I'm not saying it has to align with what I think, but I just couldn't
Be in
really
the
see.
ballpark.
Yeah, like
Be in the
I just
ballpark.
couldn't really see this being, a very good origin story for, like, if you look at the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Gunnar Hansen, that dirty, gritty feeling of, who he is, and you try to say he used to be this, or you even look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, say that that's the original, the beginning of the story, and now you're trying to say that he was that. It's like, look, bro, you're gonna have to grow like a foot, and put on like 150 pounds. Like, I just don't find it, believable, to an extent, from not only the size, but just like a personality. Like, you're going to tell me that you're going to get jacked up in the face and it's going to make you, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely, I didn't hate it as much as the Next Generation, but, this one for me, although it did have a few good parts, and I'm not going to say that it didn't, but as far as for a Texas Chainsaw movie, I felt like it was just, bottom of the list. If you want to look at it as a standalone movie, not part of the Texas Chainsaw franchise, it might be a little better. But when you put it into, reference of Leatherface and, the history of, like the Sawyers or the Hewitts or even the Slaughters, whichever way you want to go, I didn't really feel like it fell in, with the continuity of, how those stories are. Like, it just, yeah, number 8 for me. I could go on and on about, what I didn't like about this movie, but I think that, my point is pretty much where it's at right now. James is saying, I think they should make a Leatherface X. That would be funny, chasing people around with a nuclear-powered chainsaw. Jesus.
So a cyber Leatherface.
Cyber Leatherface.
Yeah.
Russell's agreeing with you, saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 Leatherface. Lydia's saying, my favorite part about 3 is them trying to explain Bubba somehow recovering at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 by giving him a leg brace.
Yes. Yes. He's literally blown up and he comes back and he's got a leg brace on. Everything's good. He's just got to work that kink out. Yes.
It's fine.
Yes.
It's okay.
That's great. That's great.
John is saying, but it really has the greatest trailer ever. Seriously. I'm going to probably have to check that out. Like, I don't think I've seen, I probably saw it in like the 80s.
This is the trailer for 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I remember the trailer.
Lee is saying, "Oh my God, the trailer was unmatched." I'll definitely have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
That's his origin story. I guess you're talking about Leatherface 2017. That's it. Yeah, you know, I just feel like one of those people that want to be like, "It's not my origin story." You know what I mean? Like it just, oh God. Lady is saying, "Hey, we don't talk about Leatherface 2017. It doesn't exist." And that's
Oh,
yeah. I mean, that's
but it does.
I guess it does.
But it does.
John is saying, "I don't think another franchise has a more convoluted timeline than TCM." I agree.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
Because there's some jacked up timelines.
I mean, at least Halloween's like, no, this is a new timeline. Don't worry about that old one. We're going to
There's some jacked up timelines. Yeah.
I agree. Russell is saying standalone sums it up. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it yeah. And Jerry is saying Leatherface in space. That's about where we're at with the franchise right now. I mean, I feel like the Netflix one kind of, brought things back just a little bit. But yeah, we were going down that road, Jerry, for sure.
It did, and you said it right. It brought it back just a little bit. It didn't bring it back with a bang, but it revived it a little bit.
It kind of grounded it a little bit. You know what I mean? It kind of.
Well, I agree with that.
All right. Get my number 7 up there because we're on number 7, Matt.
We are, and I'm excited, guys, because all right, you got to talk about it. Now it's my turn, baby.
All right.
So 7 for me is Leatherface, and guys, I'm gonna have to reel it back because I could talk about this for days. I was stoked for this film to come out. I was stoked. I saw the preview like ridiculously early, so I had this long time to wait. And as far as I'm concerned, the trailer was solid. It doesn't give you a whole lot, but you're like, okay, we're going back. We're going to see Leatherface as a younger boy, and we're going to see what the hell happened with him and this family, yada, yada, yada. I was 100% on board. Michael, you touched everything. And that's the biggest takeaway, because I even watched this movie probably more times than I should because I wanted to like it that much. I was invested, guys. And there are some good scenes, Michael. There's some killer characters in there, and in my opinion, but that's what this movie comes down to, is who they chose to be. Leatherface is absolutely BS, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Just like you were saying, we have this vision from Gunnar, from Andrew Bernarski. This guy is not right in the head. He's 6'6", 6'7". He takes up a door when he comes in it. And they choose this like 5'8" preppy kid that looked like he probably was on the baseball team, had girlfriends and this, that, and the other. And dude, no, that's not Leatherface.
You don't go from that to this. You know what I mean?
He was clean cut. He looked like he could go from that movie, and he could play a part in Varsity Blues.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned. And that was the God. And I wanted to get past it. I watched it, hated that, and I was like, I kept going back. And I'd watch it, trying to like just try to get past it. But it's something you can't get past. And I want to give one man credit. What's the big boy's name in that they have you believing is Leatherface?
Was it? He was calling him Bubba, wasn't he?
That sounds right. He was beautiful for the part, guys. He was beautiful, and he had those. I'm all about strength and brutality, and especially when you're talking about a Leatherface, he had some awesome scenes, from bashing the guy's head through the window and sticking him on the glass with his neck, and just beating the guy's sense.
Oh, when he made him bite that rock and stepped on his head. Oh my God.
He had
dude.
that stupid. He had that stupid brute strength, which I just love, especially with a Leatherface, like a Jason Leatherface. You want him to have that, like, just holy shit, how are you doing that? And he had all that. And you're over midway through the film, and he gets his brains blown out, and you're sitting there like,
yeah.
And they're saying no, it's the other kid, the pretty boy that's flirting with the girl.
It's funny you brought up that Varsity Blues like reference, because it made me think of him standing in front of a refrigerator and his mom being like, "Son, you're gonna be Leatherface," and him standing back like, "I don't want your life."
But guys, I do feel like they were. I feel like they were so close to really pulling something off we would have been talking about in such a different light. And yeah, Michael, that's all we can chalk it up to, is that they were going for that shock value. But
and that's exactly what it was, dude. They're like, okay, we're gonna make them think this.
It was a terrible.
But then we're gonna give them this. I mean, what if it went like? What if the story was, the other kid who was Leatherface in the end gets killed, and he was the only thing keeping, that character somewhat down to earth. You know what I mean? And it made him go off, and become Leatherface. But even then, I just think it would have been better if, they had traded places and they didn't try to go for that shock value, and you kind of had an idea.
I don't even think just better, guys. I think it would have been way up there on my ranking. There's killer scenes in this film. I love the crazy kid that's with him, and he's got the girlfriend. They have that like Natural Born Killers vibe, and they're just absolutely psychotic. I loved them, man.
The girl that started making out with the dead guy in the trailer.
She was out of her mind.
Good God.
And it was gritty, like you want a Texas Chainsaw, man. Like, it was disturbing, like all the stuff I love. I see you cringing, but I love it.
Oh no,
and
I don't.
I want it in a Texas Chainsaw. It was, guys, it was this close. It was this close, and they just blew it. And I love the sheriff. Is that Stephen Dorff?
I don't know his name, but he did
also
a good job.
Deacon Frost and Blade, and love him, man. It sucks. It sucks. Pisses me off, man. They were so close, but yeah, I won't rant and rave. Now that I already have, but yeah.
I won't rant and rave and rant.
Leatherface, guys, it was so close.
So Russell is saying number 7, Leatherface, 2017. Lydia is saying, honestly, I didn't hate it until the twist. The twist just took 10 years off my life. That was such a betrayal to his character. And I mean, that
was,
for me, that resonated throughout the movie. You know what I mean? Like that just, I thought it was a cool movie until that. And then it just kind of like, how we had that conversation a couple weeks ago where you say, I see one thing and it ruins everything for me. Like, I really feel like that's something that really happened with this. Like, it just cast, it's like, so everything that I liked about this movie and thought about this movie was wrong, in my head. So it was just like, oh God, like it just put a whole, and this was the second time I've seen this movie. So I went in, watching this again with like, okay, well, I know what the outcome's going to be. Let's see how this is. But I mean, just knowing was just like every time, the main character Leatherface would say something, I'd just be like, well, it's not him anyway, or it is him. So this really doesn't make any sense, because it just kept popping in my head what my vision of Leatherface was and how that wouldn't happen. So I feel like that it just, this was a huge swing and a miss for me. I see what they were trying to do with this movie, and I respect that they wanted to do something different. But when you do that, you either hit a home run with it, or you just, you swing and you miss. And, Halloween Ends is a big, nod to that. They tried something different, and it was just, really bad. If
the other kid could have at least been 6'1" and kind of ugly, it might have worked. But
yeah, It
5'8"
just,
and handsome doesn't work.
right.
It's like, I don't know.
James is saying space is where horror film characters go to die. You can imagine Uber Leatherface. That would be funny. He'd have a mask made of metal instead of human flesh, and it would look like someone else's face, James.
Yeah. Kind of digging.
James is saying having sex with a corpse, gross. Yeah, that was nasty, man. Like that was one of those. I had one of those.
No one had sex with
moments.
a corpse. She just like licked a corpse
Licked
while
its
having
mouth.
sex.
And how long was it in that trailer? Like they moved
It's been a minute.
It was in the bathroom, so they carried it to the bed. Yeah, there was all kinds of Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff.
That's like if Rob Zombie was doing a Texas Chainsaw.
I didn't want to say it, but I feel like that too. Yeah. Yeah, he asked Rob Zombie, like, hey, I need one more scene. He's like, did you think about fucking a corpse? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that was a conversation that happened. Jeff D'Angelo is here, and he's saying, hey, y'all, I'm listening at work, so I won't be commenting much. That's great, Jeff. We're glad that you're here, though, buddy. We hope that we can keep you entertained while you're at work for sure, bud.
Absolutely, man. Good to see you on here, Jeff. Always, buddy.
Jerry is saying August 18th, Texas Chainsaw video game will be released for PSN, PS5, and for Xbox. Yes, I'm hoping that comes for PC as well. I play mostly PC games, and yes, I still play Friday the 13th. So if any of you guys play that, let me know on PC. I am hoping. Last year at Scarefest, Kane Hodder talked a little bit about that. Matt, when we went up and saw him. He was talking about doing some stuff for that. If I'm not mistaken, he is the mold for Leatherface, or he has something to do with it. I'm not really sure exactly what he did for it, but I know that Kane Hodder had something to do with that video game because he was pushing that game pretty hard. I'm pretty excited about it because it falls in line with, the Friday the 13th game, the Evil Dead game, and now Texas Chainsaw. So I really like those open world run from the killer type games, or be the killer and chase other people. I think that they're really fun. Lydia's saying, oh God, I would love to see Rob Zombie's take on TCM. I would not have an issue with him taking Texas Chainsaw, and I feel like it's right up his alley. He could have his wife play Sally, and they could do
Mrs.
everything
Slaughter.
they wanted.
Mrs. Slaughter.
They can do everything that they wanted.
I think it's right up his alley.
Jeff is saying not a work, actually installing a new Lazy Susan in parents' kitchen. All right, buddy. Well, hopefully we can keep you company while you're doing that.
And you know what? You can say what you want about Rob Zombie, but one thing the guy has gotten down is how to make white trash stand out in films. Like, he's got that down. The gritty hillbilly. I've never seen anything like it, so, and that goes right with the Slaughters. Yeah. He'd make a hell of a Texas Chainsaw, if you ask me.
He'd try to get Matthew McConaughey back. Look, we need that robotic leg 40 years later.
Be phenomenal.
That would be, I'd watch it just because it'd be hilarious. So my number 7, let me go ahead and get to my number 7. I went with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface. And this was another movie that I feel like it almost seemed a little generic. You know what I mean? It's like it was so much different from the original, and part 2 was a lot different from the original, but it still kind of had that vibe of the original, mixed in with a little comedy. 2 was its own thing, but 3 just kind of excuse me. 3 just kind of went on its own way. It did have Viggo Mortensen in it, and he played the Tex character. If you don't know who he is, he was what's his name in Lord of the Rings. So another big name actor playing Tex, and he did a really good job playing Tex in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. And one thing I did like about this movie, and it may seem like a surprise to you guys, but The one thing I did say that I liked about Rob Zombie's Halloween was Joe Grizzly. And he's eating a taco supreme. I did enjoy that. And to have Joe Grizzly in this movie, it was just kind of like, I'm watching for a few minutes and I'm like, holy shit, that's Joe Grizzly.
Wait, Joe Grizzly was Tex and
no,
Texas?
he wasn't Tex. Viggo Mortensen was Tex. Joe Grizzly was the guy that had the Rambo moment that shot up the house and blew up the truck and
okay.
So Joe Grizzly did have his moments, and with Viggo, Tex was probably Tex and Joe Grizzly's character were probably the two standouts for me for this. The little kid with the doll, the little skeleton doll, that was kind of creepy. That felt kind of like Texas Chainsaw-y to me. So like I'm saying, like it was a little better, from the previous movies. And, having those two characters in it made it a little better for me. We talked a little bit about the look for Leatherface, and I thought it was okay. It was mediocre. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was great. Definitely different from the other two. But yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. It was just kind of there. But getting to see, Joe Grizzly get his due and like I said, Viggo playing Tex, he was a standout. He was the standout in this movie for sure. And like I said, it could have went either way. There was, a little bit of bad acting in it. The kids from California, they weren't anything special. I didn't feel any big attachment, to the main characters or anything. But then again, not to just keep repeating myself, I think that, Joe Grizzly's character and definitely Viggo Mortensen, his Tex were the things that stood out for me in this. And I really liked Tex. I thought he was a great character for this. Granted, he didn't really fit in with the family, but I feel like they needed that. And, his performance was really good. So I will give that movie this. Or give it that anyway. Let's see. So where was I? Lydia was saying, oh, God, I would love to see Rob Zombie's take on TCM. I think we hit that one already. Yes, we did. James was saying, that sounds awesome. It sounds like it'll be a cool game. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I definitely want to play it. I am hoping that they release it on PC so I can actually play it. I don't have a PS5 or an Xbox. I think I have a PS4, but I don't know. I was always a mouse and keyboard gamer anyway. I'm always better with that. So I am looking forward to that. Lydia's saying, I do love me some Friday the 13th game. The proximity chat is a hell of an experience. It is, as long as, nobody's blaring like super loud music or anything like that. Playing it on the PC, you kind of have to play, your own room and invite people in, or else you're going to be getting chased by like 6 Jasons. And, with the whole illegal stuff that went on with Friday the 13th, they had to stop support for the game. So there's no moderation to it. People just come in, hacking the whole game and everything. And it's kind of crazy. But when you do your own thing and invite friends in to play with you, it's definitely, you can still have fun with that game. Lydia is also saying, I did love Viggo as Tex. He was one of the highlights of that movie for me. Yeah, he was. He definitely did a good job. He was very believable at the beginning, and just the way he played that character. Like I said, he stood out a little more, from the family being a little different. But hell of a performance for that, for what that movie was anyway. I like him. I like what he did there. James is also agreeing, saying Rob Zombie would make an awesome Chainsaw Massacre movie. I think that he would do good with something like that. Jerry Wilson coming through like, what actor is your favorite Leatherface? Andrew
Bernarski.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. After watching all of these movies, don't get me wrong. I like Gunner. You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely have to go with Andrew as well. James is also saying, poor old Joe Grizzly got the bad end of the deal. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He got the Taco Supreme and he got stabbed. I mean, that's just terrible. What kind of day is that? All right, Matt. Let me get my number 6 up there because that's where we are. we can break into number 6.
Number 6, guys. For me, I'm going with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Number 6, okay.
I like this film. It's got the rewatchability.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know the actor, but he portrayed Leatherface extremely well. The mask, I think, is garbage. You know, you look at Andrew Bernarski, you look at the original. There's some killer looks, and it just looks so plain Jane, like I don't know, just like there was not much thought into that. That's one thing I did not like. And another thing, this movie, if you're a true Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, by no means does this film do you justice. It just does not. It's a little weird with me, you know, at times. You know, what's this orphanage about? Why is Leatherface there? Sally, dude, I was excited to see her in this, and after I saw the film, I'm kind of wishing she wasn't. They by no means do her justice. You know, she gets there and she basically just gets slaughtered, and she's got a chainsaw through her stomach, picked up in the air while the chainsaw's running for about 5 minutes, and then
She could be fine.
Then
There's
he throws her
nothing, you know?
into a brick wall just for her to be, you know, cracking off rounds about 5 minutes later is just ridiculous. However, having said that, this movie has its moments, guys. It does. And I feel like it's one where if it was called something else, you know, Murder House or, you know, Face Killer, whatever, it's fun. You know, let's not forget that bus scene, you know, with the guys, everybody taking out their selfies, and, you know, Leatherface gets on there and just cleans house. You know, it's awesome. From the kill to the beginning, you know, snapping the guy's arm and then jabbing the bone in his throat was awesome. You know, towards the end, him falling in the water and coming back out, and the shocker at the end with him, you know, beheading the girl, and it's a fun watch. It's an absolute fun watch. But I think it's as simple as that, guys. It in my opinion, it's a very fun watch, but by no means does it do true Texas fans justice. The storyline and is a little weird. Doesn't really add up for me. If someone can explain that to me, that you know, maybe I'll see that differently. But and then Sally, they could have done her so much better than they did. But yeah, you know, that's where I'm at, and it's but yeah, I'll put that in any time and check it out. So, you know, I'd rate it like a, you know, 6.5, 7 out of 10 or so. You know, it's solid.
Yeah.
So
all right,
6.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. God, I can't believe that was just last year. It feels like it was like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. To me, it does. It feels like it was like 2 years ago. But yeah. With me, my number 6, I am going with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. Or as I like to call it, Do Your Thing, cuz. Because to me, this movie...
You hate that part. Hate it.
I don't hate it. You know, like I'm trying to find my. I didn't leave a whole lot of notes on this one. All I wrote on my notes was "Do your thing," cuz. So this movie, I see what they were trying to do, but I mean, you talked a little bit about the 2022 version not really being a Texas Chainsaw. It didn't have that feel to it. You know, when I think of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, a lot of the feeling is not only, the family, it's usually someone escaping, from the family itself, and Leatherface is just the brute, that makes that happen. With this, it was, Leatherface living in the basement. He had a connection with this girl that he didn't know he had until he saw her little, birthmark. And the whole thing with the town being involved. And, I'm not really sure how this went continuity wise, with the other movies. I didn't know if it was supposed to be a part of like the 2003 remake timeline. Was it supposed to be, directly after the original? It was supposed to be after the original, right? The 74, it was supposed to be like a direct continuation from that. Like where did this fall? Like that was one of my, yeah, like how did that work out? Like I feel like maybe it was supposed to be a continuation from the original. I'm not really sure. Like this movie was all over the place for me. It just didn't, it felt a lot like, almost it had a lot of like, oh god, how do I say this without sounding totally crazy? It had a lot of like almost a mix between like Texas vibes, a little bit of like Friday the 13th type of vibe. Like it's almost like we're a group of kids, we're going somewhere, there's going to be a killer there, he's going to clean through all of us, but then it had a town conspiracy, to where, the mayor, how that guy became the mayor, I have no freaking idea, and then his son was involved. Like it just felt like it was just kind of like conveniently all over the place for me. And then when they had the family moment at the end and she, puts on the necklace and, she's like, I'm a Sawyer, you know what I mean? And I'm going to take care of Leatherface. And it just, I see what they were doing. But at the end of the day, I just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it that way, but it just didn't have any of those moments that a good Chainsaw Massacre movie has, to where you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Like it didn't have any of that for me. Like she was in more danger from the regular town than she ever was from like Leatherface. Like you're telling me that like when he was chasing you, all you had to do was like open your shirt and be like, look, I'm your cousin. We're family, and now I'll help you, direct you to kill people. And I don't know, man. I just didn't. To me, it just didn't hold a lot of weight with being in Texas Chainsaw. Hell, even as a standalone movie, I can't really say that I care about it. Like I just didn't. I just didn't really. I just didn't really like it too much. Now I liked it better than the ones that I stated previous. But at the same time, it's just like. It's like I feel like you needed to make a Texas movie because it's been so long. This was the only script you had, so you went with it, and we'll just get some girls with some big boobs and put them in there, and that'll keep people's attention because we have like our storyline is just absolutely jacked at this point, and it's not going to make it doesn't have to be good. The name will carry it, and what you're looking at will carry it, because definitely the story doesn't. Like it just, for me, number 6 was the best I could do with this one. And like I said, the very ending, cringeworthy, do your thing, cuz was just like, that was the point where I just wanted to, pull the trigger and just be like, okay, I'm done with this one, but thankfully, and then not to mention, at the end, the sheriff of the town, after he's killed all these people and then killed the mayor and then killed, his buddy, is just like, clean this shit up, and just walks away and lets him go. You know what I mean? Like, screw those other kids that you killed already, and there's dead bodies all over your property. But, I'm just going to go ahead and say, clean this shit up and walk away and just let it be. What a terrible, terrible movie this was. But again, there are still ones that are, worse than this one, which probably says a lot about how I feel about this franchise. But that's where I'm at for my number 6 anyway. Let's see what the chat has to say. Russell is saying number 6, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Polar is saying toss like trash. Talk about disrespect. You are not lying there. And I mean, the fact that she stayed alive when Sally Hardesty was thrown up like that is so good. Like, it's so bad that it's good. Like, how are you going to live through that? And
That's where you're like, am I watching Texas Chainsaw or Return of the Living Dead?
well,
Like,
it's like, I am going to bring back a legacy character only to have her die in 3 minutes, but she's been doing sit-ups this whole time, so she could take a chainsaw to the stomach, and pop off some shots and have some conversation before she goes. He literally held her up in the air and shook her around. Oh, it's so good. Polar is saying it was a parody on current social commentary. Fun to watch, didn't take it serious at all. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't really, take it serious. You couldn't. But yeah, definitely fun to watch. Russell Dorsey is saying, number 6, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, 2006.
oh, Russell.
James is saying, man, that is one well-made chainsaw. It can run underwater. Wow. Yeah, dude. Like, that was another thing. Like, not only in that movie, but in Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 3.
Yeah.
That thing is fucking submerged and it's like floating around like a bobber. Yeah, like it's just bobbing through. And I'm laughing, the entire time. And then it totally submerges and he comes out with it, running just fine. It actually made me Google chainsaws that run underwater while I was watching it. And I can't believe I didn't bring that up when I was talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Because it was something that I actually interrupted the movie to Google, like, how the hell, does this thing run underwater? And I'm like, are there chainsaws that can run underwater? Yes, there are, but not that one. You know what I mean? Like, they're actually made to run underwater, and that's not happening at all. Lydia is saying, I can barely remember 3D. I'm trying to think of scenes, and all I can remember is "Get 'em, cuz." Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That is the line from the movie. And, I thought it was "Get 'em, cuz" too until I, rewatched it. Apparently I was a little wrong. She says, "Do your thing, cuz." And that might even be even better than "Get 'em, cuz," because it's "do your thing." Like, his thing is established and she knows what it is and she's going to tell him to do it. It's freaking great. Russell is saying it wasn't bad. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D 2013. Yeah, and it was kind of bad. I didn't. Not mine. Not
Russell,
me.
don't you worry. I will be talking about Texas.
How good it was.
I didn't say that.
Number 5. Where are you at, Matt? Number 5.
All right. Yeah, this is where I start getting some hate. Now, these are the films I like, guys. We're getting into the films I like. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I'm going with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I like it, guys. Listen to me. I'm trying to justify
You're making
myself.
excuses for what you're about to say.
I know Lydia, for one, is already hating on me. I've never been the biggest horror comedy fan. It's not. There's some I like. It's just not my go-to, guys. It's not my go-to.
Tucker and Dale may disagree with you.
Tucker and Dale's the shit. Okay. And I'm not saying I hate it by any means. I'm just saying it's not my go-to. Okay. So, and Texas Chainsaw 2, it almost really, it still kind of baffles me that for the sequel, this isn't the 4th installment, the 5th or 6th. It's literally just the sequel and from going from what they had in 1974 to this bonkers movie that you would watch in a drive-in after Return of the Living Dead, and they'd go perfect together. It's still kind of baffling, but it's good. It's good, guys. It's just, I guess why it's not higher up on my ranking is, and it comes down to strictly like the rewatchability. There's other Texas Chainsaws that I'll put I like to watch before part 2. But there's so many good things I can talk about. Chop Top, phenomenal. One of the best crazy, batshit crazy characters of all time.
Is that the guy with the plate in his head?
Yes, and
Okay.
played it by none other than Bill Moseley. He's as far as horror goes, dude's a genius. He's, it's fun, but it's just,
it's out there.
I like Stretch. But here's where it falls back for me, is because when I look at Texas or Jason Voorhees, or I like that like dark, brutal, badass, powerful, where this Leatherface is like, making sexual gestures with a chain, just, going that goofy route. And I did not dig the Leatherface in this. He was, he was goofy, guys. He wasn't that, I want frightening. I want, I want the guy that takes up the door and, is just out to kill you, and you're going to shit yourself, and just, and that's not what this movie gave us, but it gave us a very fun ride. It's funny as all get out. It's very clever. It's very clever, and it's a well-made horror comedy. So I like it. I give it all kinds of props, but I'm more for that. Like I said, I'm more for that just raw, dark. I don't want to laugh when I watch a Texas Chainsaw. I want to get scared, and I want to watch this, behemoth just slash through people. So, well made movie. I give it its props, but for me, it's going to come at number 5, guys.
Yeah. All right. And, without going through the comments yet, because I'm going to piggyback off of you and say that my number 5 is Texas Chainsaw 2.
Okay.
I don't think I've cheered more for 2 idiots to die than I did at the beginning of this movie. Like, these 2 kids driving this car, I've never wanted 2 people to die more at the beginning of a movie than I did these 2 idiots. Like, they were calling in to the, to talk to Stretch at the radio station, and I don't know why she couldn't hang up the phone on them, but she kept trying to tell them to hang up, and she wouldn't just set the phone down. And it was just, I wanted them to die faster than they did. It's like, hurry up. Like, please, I really want you guys to die. Dennis Hopper's in this movie. I mean, even Dennis Hopper, like, playing Lefty, he did a hell of a job playing Lefty. He was very Dennis Hopper. You know what I mean? Like, Dennis Hopper, great actor. Again, you made references to the sexual things that Leatherface was doing with the chainsaw, and it's like, when he had Stretch in that closet and he was doing that, it's like, the worst thing about it is I couldn't figure out, like, well, did he finish? Like, that's what I was fucking worried about. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, because it was so far out there, it's like, I think he did. You know what I mean? And I even thought about putting a clip up about that on here. But I ran out of time. It's just like, all right, did that just happen? Like, is he good now? Like, is that why he let her go? Like, he's done, found a way of relief at this point. And the only thing that popped in my head was the song from Lonely Island, and I'm not going to name what that song is if you know who they are. And I probably spent, most of it laughing after that. And I don't understand, like, again, what you said, you started in the 74 movie. How did you go from that Leatherface, to this Leatherface that now, he's like in love with Stretch? You know what I mean? Like, he's helping her, he's trying not to kill her. He's hiding her when she's in there. It's like, how do you go from that to this? Now, on contrary to that, it was a fun watch. It was, I like how the cover of this movie is The Breakfast Club. You know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing
volumes
that.
of what the
Yeah,
movie.
well, I remember seeing that. What was that documentary? Is it Into Darkness?
In Search of
In
Darkness.
Search of Darkness, and they talked a little bit about this movie. They talked about how horror wasn't doing that good when they made this movie, um, and they wouldn't get advertisement for it unless it had a comedy element to it. So they wanted to throw comedy in there so they could promote it more as a comedy than a horror movie, hoping it would do better. To at the end of the day, we all know that movies are there to make money. They're hardly ever made for the fans. And that's what they did with this, and that's why they went into the direction that they went with this. And at the end of the day, like, it was crazy. I feel like Leatherface did more of the shaking with the um with the chainsaw than he did with actually cutting stuff. It just seemed like every time he got a chance to stand there and shake it above his head, that's what he did. When he could have just been like stabbing what was in front of him or cutting what was in front of him. Like, he needed to definitely take that moment, to just stand there and shake it above his head, other than anything
Let
else.
me say this real quick, Michael, and I'll just real fast, and I'll tell you, if horror comedy is your go-to, this movie's gold. It's just got to be gold for people. Like,
Oh, it's hilarious.
yeah,
And I mean, even the serious moments are funny because they don't fit
yes,
with all the comedy.
yes,
You know what I mean?
yes.
And it's like, even Lefty with like the chainsaws when he buys them and he's standing out there cutting that piece of wood. It's just like, what? Why? Like, what are we doing here? Like, why do you need these chainsaws? Get a really big gun. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand. Like,
He wants
why?
to beat them at their own game. It's like a masculinity thing. I think he wants to. Yeah, that's what I took from it.
I just feel like I'm, getting like an M60 and I'm just fucking laying it down. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how many chainsaws you got, dude. I'm gonna
But then
shoot
you
through
wouldn't
every
get
one.
the classic chainsaw battle with like they've got swords, man.
Oh, even the what was
His two little
the
short ones,
elder's name
yeah, like their
that won the
pistol.
chili contest? And they were playing.
Oh,
What was his name in that? But
oh,
he made me laugh every time he talked. You know
oh.
what I mean? When he got stabbed in the ass with the chainsaw and it cut him, and he was talking about, I might need a new line of work, and he's holding his ass and looking at his hand, and his hand's all bloody. Like, that guy just freaking made me laugh. But yeah, it was.
It's
You
got
know,
character.
it was.
It's got
It,
character.
again, this does have rewatchability for me, because it was fun. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't put it as, like a serious, like, if I'm going to introduce my friend to Leatherface and I want to show him the most badass Leatherface there is, this is not the movie that I'm showing. You know what I mean? But if I want to sit back and chill and have a good time, like, this would definitely be on the list, because not only was it was horribly great. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad, but at the same time, I laughed through most of it. So I can't really say that I didn't like it, because, I freaking smiled, through most of it. Now, granted, I was laughing a lot at how bad some things were, but at the same time, I definitely had fun with it. Let's see what they're saying in the chat. Let me make sure. I kind of lost my place here. Here we go. James is saying, good old Chop Top got a dent in his head plate. Yeah, he did. Lydia's saying, I could watch 2 every day for the rest of my life. Everyone was great, but Bill Moseley was unmatched as Chop Top. He did do a good job, for sure.
Yes,
James is saying, flashback, man. Flashback. You put a dent in my head plate, man.
Flashbacks.
The bridge scene with No One Lives Forever by Oingo Boingo playing in the background is probably one of my favorite scenes in any TCM movie. It was such a fun introduction to the characters. It was.
Yes, absolutely.
Teresa reminding everyone, did everyone hit the like button? Yes, Teresa. Thank you very much for that. Please hit that like button if you haven't already, guys. It really helps out the channel, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
James is saying Chainsaw Massacre 2 was so freaking funny. Love Chop Top. Nearly die laughing at this movie. Yeah, it's great. Like, it for that purpose, it is freaking, hilarious.
Chop Top is just, oh my God. You talk about memorable characters.
Yeah, definitely not forgetting that guy, for sure. The older brother was Drayton Sawyer. I wouldn't wish this rotten life of a one-eyed ferret with mange. Yes. He was great. He was. All right. I think we are to number 4. Number 4.
All right. So, for me, Russell, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D is number 4 for me, guys. I'm not even sure if it's not number 3. But tonight I'm going with 4. I love this movie, guys. I so enjoy it. I think the man, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm terrible with names. He portrays Leatherface beautifully. I like this. I like the story. I love that beginning scene where you almost get like that semi like Halloween Kills flashback vibe where they're going back in time and you get to see Leatherface with the pretty woman mask in the back. I freaking love it.
So where did this take place in continuity?
I have no idea. So I you know, God, I don't know. What is it with horror movies and their timelines, man? So it's a fun watch for me. It's a very fun watch for me. There's great kills. I like the sheriff. You know, he was just pure asshole redneck, and he does his part so well because you want that man to die.
Oh, you're talking about the mayor?
The mayor. I'm sorry, the mayor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the mayor. He played his part to a T. I absolutely loved him. You know, down to the guy that they have that steals from him, and he gets his. To the deputy that's going in there thinking he's this big hard ass, and he starts getting deeper into Leatherface's lair, and he's just about to piss himself. I love it, man. You know, he goes in all cocky. He's got his, extended clip mag. Hey, bullets can't stop this guy. And then he's basically wanting to backpedal once he gets in there because, that's Leatherface, man. Going to the park and throwing the chainsaw and Michael, I totally see what you say. I totally get what you're saying. It's got some goofy stuff going on, it does. You're a Sawyer, you're gonna be okay, this, that, the other. But I've watched this movie, guys, and it's over, and I just want to watch it again. I enjoy the hell out of it. I really do. I really do. And I also think Leatherface looks fantastic down to his mask. The guy's big. He's massive. He's Leatherface, man. Does it all come together right? Like you were asking and stuff. No, it doesn't. But gosh, what does sometimes anymore? Sometimes I just go down to if I can enjoy it, and I really do. So, Russell, I'm with you, buddy. I enjoy this film. It's not number 1, but it's not number 9 by any means. And Michael, I can usually when you and I disagree, I always can get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I totally can. So it comes down to its rewatchability for me is high up there. I enjoy it. So for me, number 4 is 3D.
Okay. Yeah. But like when we disagree, it's we watch things for different things. Like I like this aspect of movies, you like this aspect of movies, and it doesn't surprise me, when we're different. And when and I understand, coming from what you like, and then I could definitely see that. Me, I'm always into like how and why. Yeah. And those you know, for you, you're just like, fuck that. I want to see some badass shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get, like, I want to see, and you know, for me, it's definitely like I get so immersed in storyline. You know, that's what pulls me into something, whether I can find it, you know, like
And why
reasons
is
and
that
why.
such a trend with horror? They struggle with like keeping that together. They, you know,
Well,
all of them. It seems like it.
they do, and you know, it's a perfect example, and I'm not saying I know this for sure because, you know, granted, I've never been, you know, in movies or, you know, had anything to do with making movies, but you know, I have done some writing and stuff like that. And one of the things that I do when I write is, there's a system, that, you know, a lot of people go through when they write things, and they call them, you know, the 5 whys. You know, like, so you ask why 5 times in a row when you have a certain scenario. Like, why did this person do this? Well, they did because of this. Well, why were they doing that? Well, they because of this. Well, why did they do it that way? Or why? You know, and if you can answer all 5 of those, then it's pretty solid. You know what I mean? And if I try to break a lot of horror movies down, as you say, that way, you know, I'd freaking go crazy.
You can't get through
You know
two
what I mean?
wise.
But you can. You know what I mean? And it's I just have to be immersed in a story, you know, and that's something I struggle with horror movies, and, you know, trying to rationalize things, and that's where I fall short in a lot of movies. And it's not it's something I'm working on, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, it's an appreciation for film, it's
Well, and
appreciation
they
for,
and yeah,
you
and
know,
they and unfortunately in our, I'd say in our genre specifically
yeah.
is where they really struggle with it, man.
And it's crazy because I love horror so much.
And it's gonna give us a bad rap, guys. Let's act like we got some intelligence and we can string some shit together. Come on, you
But I
know.
mean, you look at a lot of cash grabs too. You know what I mean? And I hate to constantly bring that up, but you look at like the success of Halloween 4 and then getting Halloween 5 after that. You know what I mean? Like why? Like what you I get it. You wanted money. You know what I mean? But couldn't you have taken another year and made a solid follow-up to Halloween 4?
I'm always nervous when they bring them out too fast.
Yeah, dude. And Halloween 5 was like 1 year. You know,
Yeah,
and you got to think of writing time, you got to think of filming time, you got to think of
yeah.
post production, you got to think of promotion, and then you have release, and it's coming out, you know, directly. Now I get Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends because Halloween Kills was delayed by, the
COVID. Was
COVID.
it COVID?
Yes. Yes. Like it was delayed. So I get their back to back releases. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, come on, guys. Like that's where I struggle a little bit. But anyway, I could go on and on about that. Russell is saying, or wait, first James is saying, stabbed in the butt with that chainsaw, that will leave a mark. Yes, it will. And that, you know, that actually made me laugh. You know, like that part of that movie. I freaking loved it. Russell agreeing with you again, saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D is his number 4.
I can watch that, man. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Lydia saying 3D is supposed to be a direct sequel to the first movie. I'm pretty sure, and I thought that, but I wasn't positive. And to me, that drives me even crazier. You know, trying to figure that out and how
I
that
do
ties
believe
in.
that's right.
Yeah, like that's like I get
It's
it.
hard to say that part two happened. You know, that one really threw us for a loop there. How do we bounce back from that shenanigan?
Russell is saying if she wasn't Leatherface's cousin, she would have been a goner.
Absolutely.
James is saying Pretty Woman chopping down the street. Pretty Woman, I wouldn't like to meet. Pretty Woman.
I loved that though. Him in the back at the beginning, that flashback with him as Pretty Woman was so awesome. Was so awesome.
Russell is saying if everyone's answer was the same thing, it'd be boring. This is all fun. I love it. Definitely, man. And that's, you know, that's why, you know, I like having Matt here. Because he offers, you know, him and I are so much different when it comes to opinions about these things. And, you know, and like I've said in the past, Matt, we've, we've talked about it. Like if everything I said and you said, oh yeah, you're 100% right on that. It's just like, who cares? Like you got two, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't, it wouldn't want to
No,
make me watch it. I want to see
no,
some back and forth. Like that's
no.
definitely,
We always bring that. That's for sure.
100%, dude. And
That's
I
for
love
sure.
every minute of it. And plus, not only that, dude, do I love the banter back and forth. It offers me a different perspective because I tend to be, kind of closed minded when I watch something to where
Yeah.
it's like, here's my opinion, like what do other people think? And a lot of times my opinion is not the same because I have that little bit of that purist, like I really enjoy the originals for a lot of things that I watch, you know. Um, other than Friday the 13th not being my favorite original, but I do love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry is saying this is a great channel and great company. Thank you, Jerry. That means a lot to us, buddy.
Absolutely. Heck yeah, Jerry.
It would be terrible if Michael Myers got COVID. Like, could you imagine if that's how he died in Ends? Like he got a real bad cough and like
It wouldn't make anything worse or better or different. I mean,
like you see one of those like masks over his mask. He's got like the breather mask on, like the surgical mask when he comes out. It's a little slower and a little
on
tired.
that note, I am going to use the restroom really quick, Michael. And I'll be right back, guys.
I'll go through some of these comments while you're gone. Oh, every time I pull him off of here, I get real big on the screen. It kind of creeps me out. James is saying, I don't think you have to worry about Michael Myers getting COVID. He was wearing a mask, Yes, he was, but he was moving kind of slow in Halloween Ends, right? Do you think that it could have had something to do with that? Maybe that's why he was weak. Maybe he had COVID. Maybe he didn't get his shot. I don't think they had Moderna in the cave. What was the other one? It was Moderna and whatever. So it could have been. Maybe he did. Maybe he did get COVID. Lydia's saying he'd be hiding behind a hedge stalking, and you just hear a slight muffled cough behind it. He doesn't talk, and he's a silent killer, but every now and then you hear like, it's like, oh, he's coming again. He's got COVID. We could tell. He's a little slower. He's a little more silent, except for that cough. You could tell where he's coming. It's kind of like that Jason sound, that only his is a little cough. That would be freaking awesome. Polar is saying he's just a man. He could get it. Technically, the direction they were going, in Halloween Ends, you're just a man wearing a Halloween mask. Yeah, that would have been great if Corey got COVID stealing his mask. Would have been freaking awesome. James is saying he probably ate some bad dog meat. Maybe. It's maybe he did. Oh, my number 4. I need to get that set up. Let's see here. I am going to go into my number 4, but I think I'm going to wait for Matt to get back because I am curious to what he thinks about my number 4, and I don't want to get started without him there. But I do want to make sure to remind everybody, if you are having a good time tonight and if you are, enjoying our back and forth and our interaction with you guys, please don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button. And then one thing that I do kind of, I don't feel like I talk about enough, but like when this stream is over, if you exit out and go back in and leave a comment below about, the show, that definitely helps the channel out a lot too. The way the YouTube algorithm works, it grabs for the more comments and the more likes that you have, the more it shows the video. So as much as we engage in comments for here, they don't count as comments towards the algorithm. It's the finished video, to where this becomes available on YouTube as a regular video to people not watching the live stream. It stays on there so people can go back and watch afterwards. If you exit out and go back in and leave that comment, that really helps out the channel for rewatches. And we're trying to get more people to see um, you know what we're doing here, because we're always welcoming new people into our community, because we have such a great community here, and we want to make sure that enough people are seeing that. Lydia's saying it didn't come from someone in China eating a bat. It came from Michael Myers eating a dog. That is the origin of COVID at this point for me. So when he ate that dog, that's when COVID started. Yes.
The dog from the original?
Yes.
Okay.
The dog from the original.
Okay.
Polar is saying, how I feel about him being just a man. Yeah, I'm not feeling that either. Russell is saying all the mods are awesome. I just want to say that. And you know what, Russell, you are 100% right. The mods that we have here, they do such a great job for us, and they're always in the chat. We can't say enough how much Matt and I appreciate
much love
what they do in here. We never have any issues with anything. They stay on top of their stuff, and I definitely want to go out of my way, and Matt as well, to let everybody know that how we feel about our mods on here. And we definitely both want to say thank you for what you guys do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Jerry and Russell are both saying, welcome back, Matt. I waited to do my number 4 until you got back, because I didn't want to, go ahead. And we got into a conversation about Halloween ends and COVID. And
I'm glad I missed that one.
Oh, I don't know. This was a pretty good one. Like, could you imagine Michael hiding behind a bush trying to kill somebody with like a subtle cough because he had COVID, and you could hear him coming?
If it's gonna fit, it's gonna fit and end. So yeah.
Like, we've heard the breathing under the mask. I wonder what the cough would sound like under the mask.
Oh.
If he's breathing, like, you hear that, and then you just hear it. It's so good.
And it would be like with the Shape Hunts Alice. It would like be somewhere like when that song gets a little bit slow, you'd hear it. Like, it'd be so badass, and just yeah.
You hear that, and then you hear like it'd be so good. It'd be so good.
Yeah.
All right, my number 4. And now I still have a cough from when I was sick, so I'm gonna cough. My number 4, I am going with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is my number 4. I really liked this movie. Granted, it had some things in it, and you talked a little bit about some of the things that we didn't like. You had brought up the mask with that, and I didn't mind the mask, and I'll tell you why. How you didn't like the mask, you have to remember, that mask wasn't something that he had. Like, he had abandoned that and went once the lady died. He decided, well, shit, it's time to become Leatherface again. So he literally cut that person's face off and made that mask out in the field there. You know what I mean? Like, that's the mask that he just makeshift made. From a realistic standpoint, it would have been crazy if he sculpted some masterpiece out there. So the mask didn't bother me. And not only with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, we were saying that it was a continuation from the original. This was also a continuation from the original. So the way I took it, the original movie happened. He went away after that because she got away, and he was there, in 2022 from 1974. So let's say in 1974, he was, what would you say he was in the original? 20, 25 years old? In 1974.
We're going to have to go with early 20s. Yeah.
Okay. Let's just say 20. Let's just say that, even though I feel like he was like 25, right?
Yeah.
So if he's 20 and we're talking about 2022, you're looking at 84, 94, 2004, 2014, 2024. take away 2, you're looking at 48 years. Now add 20. He's 68, 69 years old. You know what I mean? That's if he's only 20.
Right.
So this guy's, realistically probably 74 years old, 73,
Yeah.
because I don't feel like he was only 20 in the original.
Right.
And he's not a young guy,
No.
Now, also, with that being said, that makes Sally 70, 74, 75 years old in this
I would
movie.
have put Sally younger than him.
Okay.
In my view.
Right.
So yeah, it puts her up there.
So, which it does make it even more ridiculous that we'll just say 70-year-old woman's gonna get rocked by that chainsaw and thrown around up in the air.
Chainsaw's coming back.
And thrown, to the degree that she was thrown. Like, he shook her up there for a minute too. And not only did you do that to a legacy character, you gave the legacy character like 5 minutes of screen time, and that 5 minutes of screen time, and then you're talking about, like, Sally's coming back. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's something you were kind of pushing, you know what I mean, when this came out. Like, she was a Texas Ranger. She spent all that time looking for him.
It was so awesome that she was coming back. Like, it was.
But the bus scene just threw this at number 4 for me almost alone. Dude, the fact that kid was holding that freaking phone and said, "Bro, you're about to be canceled." And he just went freaking nuts on that bus with that chain. It's like, if you ever wondered in your life, like, there are certain things you wondered as a kid, being a kid that loved horror. What would Michael Myers do if he got jumped by people? We got to see that in Kills. You know what I mean? What would you do if you dropped Leatherface into a bus full of people? It's like, well, actually, this is what will happen. You know what I mean? And he went nuts in there, and it was a CGI fest out the what, but I loved every freaking minute of it.
They were slipping on sliding blood.
Dude. Like, it was just a gore fest. Leatherface is back, and it's just like, I am going to destroy all these freaking people. I loved it. Now, granted, I didn't like, what they did with Sally. But at the same time, I was able to get past it because, from what we know about, watching the other Texas Chainsaws, Sally was pretty much dead and everything else. So it didn't really have that Laurie Strode effect with Sally with me. Like, even as we say, 3D went back to, the original movie, it had nothing to do with Sally. Only the original really had Sally in it. There was no Sally in anything else. So it's not like, Laurie Strode came back to Halloween and got killed in 5 minutes, like a resurrection shit. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't happen. But at the end of the day, I like the characters in this, and I like that there were super annoying characters, and you got to see, things that happen. I really like the idea that the girl had already had like pre-existing PTSD from the school shooting she was in. She thought that she should be dead, but yet she had to go through another traumatic experience with Leatherface, and she actually made it out of it. And just when you think that one girl is going to be safe at the end, man, it's just like, nope. It's like, yoink. She ended up getting hers. And I really like the character of the guy with the truck that they had the altercation with at the gas station. I really liked, as much as they didn't like him, how cool he was, to them. And at the end, he tried to stand up for them, and he got destroyed. And I love the fact that when Sally came back, she went up to Leatherface's room and she was like, "Do you remember me?" And he's just like, he doesn't even care about her. He doesn't give two shits about her.
He doesn't know her.
Doesn't even care. She is not a thought in his mind. You know what I mean?
He has no
but
clue
yet
who she
he
is.
dominated her thoughts for like 60 years.
Michael, that might be my favorite part
Yeah, it's
of
great.
that film. It's that good. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, I not to mention, and this might be small, for a lot of people, but they brought back John Larroquette to read the beginning, and man, like when he's reading the beginning, that just gives me that, like this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When it starts off with the narration at the beginning and you get John Larroquette reading again, it's just like hell yeah, man. Like, do you know that he was paid with 2 joints to do the original narration? That's what he was paid to do that.
I don't know
Uh,
how you know his name. Like, that's awesome.
Dude, I love John Larroquette. He was Dan Fielding in Night Court. I grew up watching
It's
that show. Like,
who was he?
John Larroquette. Like, did you ever watch the show Night Court?
Yeah.
He was the perverted guy that was always defending the hookers. Like, he was freaking John Larroquette. Like, he was the man.
John
Dan Fielding.
Larroquette.
Larroquette, yes.
John Larroquette.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like-
know.
Yeah, dude. Like, he was
impress
great.
me with the names all the time. I love
Yeah,
it.
dude. John Larroquette was the man. Like, I
So
freaking
he does the
love it.
narrating for the original.
Yes, and he
Okay.
did the original narration, and he came back to do this one, and he, has openly said, like, yeah, like I didn't have any money back then. They gave me 2 joints, and I read this, and
That's awesome.
that's
That's awesome.
what I got, and it's freaking great. But yeah, so my number 4, definitely Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. As much as
I don't even smoke, but I would read it for 2 joints.
it's especially in the 70s. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
it's like you probably did that in like 73. Nam
That's-
had just ended. Like, look at you, man.
That's
You're great.
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, yes. And Jeff is saying in the chat, he says, Dan Fielding. Yes, Dan Fielding. He was the man. Definitely the man. But let's see what the chat has to say. Not Foghorn Lake, not Foghorn, the guitar riff. I don't know why I said, oh, okay. I'm not sure what that one was for. Jerry is saying, did Leatherface have a daughter? Baby Sawyer? I don't know. Polar is saying, canceled. They would have been canceled. Leatherface, he could have got canceled. Do you remember too? Like, if you look closely at the phone, while Leatherface is cutting people up, you can see like the Instagram type platform that they're on.
Yeah.
And they're like live streaming, and you could see people making comments that like
Yes.
that looks fake. That looks fake. That
Yes.
looks fake. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
It brought so much realism to where if there was something like that happened, you guarantee that if you were on a live stream, people would be saying that.
Yep. That looks fake. Yep.
Yeah, that looks fake.
I thought that was great.
Yeah. Lydia's saying, I'm a little less excited to see 2022 now. I can't believe they would do Sally like that. They did, but at the same time, there were a lot of, decent moments, especially the moment that we were talking about to where she confronts him, and it was a lot like Michael and Lori, you know what I mean? In Halloween 2018, like he dominated her psyche for so long and, her thoughts, and Michael didn't give a shit about her. Well,
Yes,
apparently
Lydia,
Leatherface didn't care about it either.
I apologize. There are some spoilers on here. Yeah, you've not seen the 2022. Yeah. It's worth a shot though. It's worth a shot. It's a fun watch. You gotta check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Polar is saying Leatherface versus Karens. Yes, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, 100%. Lydia's saying he did have a daughter in 3, Jerry, but I don't remember the name. Oh, I didn't know that was his daughter. Leatherface had a daughter. Well,
Now it's kind of coming back to me.
I mean, I guess Michael had a kid too in Halloween 6.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's that. We can.
Slasher icons don't need kids, guys.
They don't need kids.
No.
They don't need. Could you? You know what? I'm not even getting into that. I was about to say, could you imagine Michael making that kid? Like, what's that look like? Number 3. All right, Matt. We are down to.
All right, man. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Because let's face it, we're talking about films we really dig now. Number 3, I'm going with Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. The Beginning
All right.
It kind of surprised me. It seemed like it came awful fast after the 2003 remake. It seemed like it was like, there was a huge, you know, gap, and then all of a sudden we got this '03. It had
That's
been,
money.
yeah, it had been years. So, and then boom, let's do it again. I was kind of taken back, but I was game, and prequels always intrigue me. I won't lie about that. Prequels always intrigue me. So I want to say when I first watched it, I was a tad disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
This could be due to how much I do enjoy the '03 remake. So coming off the heels of the '03 remake, I'm not, maybe I was just expecting a banger, and it's really good, guys. I mean, I've got it as number 3. So with '03 in the beginning, one thing they've absolutely nailed, in my opinion, is this cast. Okay, the sheriff. They could look the world over 3 different times, and you could not cast that character better.
Yeah, Lee Emery's amazing.
Oh, dude, he's stupid good, and he could not be in a better role for himself. And then, guys, you've got Andrew Bonarski. I hope I say his last name correctly, because I love this guy. I don't want to, disrespect by any means. I pronounce it Bonarski. I've got a chance to meet this guy. Am I saying that right, Michael?
I've always said it Bernarski. Now that
Bernarski.
doesn't mean it's right,
Bernarski.
but I've always said it that way.
Okay. So his portrayal of Leatherface is absolutely spot on. I'm not a guy that typically likes to say, anything beats the original. We all get those originals, like they're here. They're the original. They're what introduced us to this franchise. So it takes a special character to supersede that and beat that. And in my opinion, Andrew did just that. He was absolutely terrifying. His movements, his size, his look, and I'll say in '03 and the beginning, down to just having that mouth guard, and his just awesome. And this is one I want to say, these are Michael Bay films, and you can tell, man, they're shot so well. They're beautiful films, and I'm also a big I'm big on atmosphere. And
Were these both Platinum Dunes?
Yes.
Like, so they
so.
were the start of like the Platinum Dune remakes, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think the '03
That you could
Texas
absolutely
Chainsaw.
be correct on that.
Yeah.
But they look fantastic. The characters are fantastic. You've got top-notch acting. You've got, in my opinion, the best portrayal of Leatherface. The from when the guy who runs the meat house is trying to kick him out of there, and he just
He's scared at first. He's like, "You're gonna make me tell him this?"
Dude,
like,
bashes his face in with that mallet, and it's a great film. And then you've got those the bikers that go in there like a bunch of hard asses, thinking and that guy was a total dick.
oh yeah.
And I from the moment he basically said screw our somewhat final girl that got him there, said screw you, you're on your own, I was like, you need to die. And he did. He met Leatherface, and they're and this was a big dude. This biker was big, but he wasn't Leatherface big. And this is where I get super excited, guys. Well, like I told you, when it comes down to the power, the brutality, the strength of it, I just love it. And him meeting Leatherface and them having that go at it where Leatherface just outpowered him and threw him on that chainsaw, fires it up, and just goes right through him. And that's just one amazing scene in this film. It's a solid film. It has the Texas Chainsaw feel. It has the Texas Chainsaw vibe, the look, the atmosphere. Acting's great, beautiful. Leatherface looks beautiful. The beginning for me,
Yeah,
is number
and
3.
and definitely I'm gonna piggyback off of you with that too.
Okay.
This After watching all of these this week, this movie was almost like somewhat of a breath of fresh air. Um, Now, I'm not saying that I loved everything about it, but at the same time, I definitely liked way more um, than I, didn't like about it. You touched on the look of Leatherface and Andrew Bernarski, and yes, 100%. Like that's when I think of Leatherface, that's what I think of. That's the guy. I think it had a great story. I like the Vietnam tie-in, with the brothers
Yes.
going to
Yes.
Vietnam and the drafting and all of that. Um, One complaint I did have about it was the camera work and some of it was kind of shaky and not to the point to where it needed to be. I'm talking about like some of the lone scenes to where someone's just standing there. You could see it kind of like moving. I don't know if they did that on purpose for an effect or if it was, somebody wasn't doing their job right, but it kind
I'll
of
look
just,
for that.
made me like close my eyes a couple times. Like, why is this moving around like this?
Yeah.
I'm not really an origin guy, that, but with this, I was really happy with it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like Leatherface is one of those characters that has to thrive on mystery. So I'm very open to an origin story, which I think that this did fantastically, way better than Leatherface 2017. I think that I would have been good with this, him just being some guy working in a meat place. So that's giving him experience and with what he does and everything. It just makes so much more sense to me, that he's just a big, quiet guy, doing his thing that people usually don't really mess with, for good reason. I mean, look at him, Jesus Christ. Not to judge a book by its cover, but I mean, come on, man. There's being that way and then there's being smart. You know what I mean? Lee Ermey, he was awesome, dude. Like anytime you use him, I loved his, Korean War story. That they had like one poor soul was chosen because they had to eat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you're
Yeah.
getting that, background and a whole push-up sequence he did with Dean out there trying to make him do the push-ups to be able to leave. It's just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then he just like steps on his back and he's like, I don't think he's going anywhere. You know what
My
I
money
mean?
says he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. And it's just like that guy's a boss, dude. Like he every role he plays, I compare to Full Metal Jacket and the drill sergeant that he played, his breakthrough role that was just freaking incredible.
He never disappoints.
Never, man. I mean, this dude, you could put him in anything and he'd just be, he always plays the same type of character, with the way that he is. But at the end of the day, he does it so well. He's very, he's very good at playing authority. You know what I mean? That person in charge and that like he's fantastic. And I love him. Now the girl, what's her name? Jordana Brewster, I want to say, the girl from Fast and Furious that was more of the main girl in this one. I mean, she was okay. I don't think that she was anything special. Um, but at the same time, she did, what they needed her to do for this role. But every time I looked at her, I just kept thinking of Mia from Fast and Furious. She doesn't have a whole lot of, I didn't see anything different than what she did in those movies, in this. Like I didn't get a real super terrified feeling from her. It was just more of a kind of, yeah, but then again, you can only act the way you're directed, right? So I'd never put that on the actors, but yeah, for all the things that I said, I think that they had a great cast for this. I think that a lot of people did a great job in this, and I really felt for the older brother when he was on that table, and got nailed down to it, and she couldn't get him off of it. And he ends up, cutting his face off and making his mask, his first mask from that guy. And it was great. I really loved it, and it's definitely my number 3. Let's see what they are saying in the chat. Russell was saying number 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. All right. And they're still talking about the Leatherface's daughter. Jerry was saying that I think her name is Baby Sawyer, but not 100%. Lydia's saying, I just looked it up out of curiosity. I guess she never got a name, which is strange. That is very strange. They just called her little girl Sawyer. Okay, so that was the little creepy girl that I was talking about with the little skull is her baby doll. I guess that was like a dead infant or something that she had. Yeah, she was kind of creepy. Russell is saying, do you think Leatherface should have a daughter? No, I don't. I do not. Matt, how do you feel about Leatherface having a daughter?
Absolutely not. Should Ted Bundy have twins? No. It's no.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Lydia is saying the beginning was one of the most memorable ones for me. That was such a great movie. It was. I really liked that one. I did. She also says probably my second favorite design for Leatherface. Yeah, like he was a beast.
And I really did dig the just the mouth guard look.
Yeah.
I really did. That was awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Whenever you can go, I feel like with characters like these, whether it's a Jason or Michael, whenever you can go like the less is more, but it works. I usually dig it.
Yeah, and a lot of people have a hard time seeing less is more. But sometimes when you leave it to the imagination, man, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. He looked awesome.
You ready for number 2, sir?
He was terrifying, just like I want Leatherface to be. I'm absolutely ready for 2. So for number 2, guys, going with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
No.
I'm going with the original. And it comes down to it's pretty simple. My reasoning, not putting this number 1. I love it, guys. It's fantastic. I grew up watching this film. It was one, along with the Halloweens. I watched a whole lot of it as a kid. It was one I watched quite a bit. When I was 9, 10, there wasn't a whole lot of classic slashers like there are today. There really wasn't. We had our Michaels, we had our Jasons, we didn't even have Scream yet. There was so much. So I loved it. I loved the whole idea of it. The characters I thought were very memorable. Atmosphere is just stupid good. They shot it out in Texas, hotter than shit. Everything you got in that film is real. They're sweating their asses off. It's just all. It's gritty. It's disturbing. It's great. It's a great film. The reason I guess it's number 2 and not number 1 for me, it comes down to the rewatch value for it. I can watch it. It's number 2, guys. I can watch it. But there's one other film that I'm going to choose over this one every time. Now, Gunnar Hansen, and rest in peace, Gunnar. You were a phenomenal Leatherface, man, and just so much respect for him, the entire crew. I've just heard horror stories about how it was filming this movie.
Yeah,
people coming down with heat stroke and whatnot, but and I also like that you have different masks for Leatherface. You have the pretty woman, you have the killing mask, you have the grandma mask. And I'm a Mask fan, guy. I sell masks for a living. I love masks. And you've got all these. It's just God, guys. It's a classic. It's a great slasher. You've got the Hitchhiker. Let's not forget the Hitchhiker. I put him in that chop top category. Is like you can't forget this Hitchhiker, dude. The head cheese and the cutting himself, and he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. But I have nothing bad to say about this film. It's all good. It's all good. It's a classic. I love it. And like I said, the only reason it's not number one is there is one movie that I'll choose to watch over this one. But I won't go on and on. Hopefully we've all seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But phenomenal film, man. Phenomenal film. And props to everybody involved with that film. And this movie. One more thing, groundbreaking, man. There's a lot of people that say Michael was the original slasher, and no. Are you forgetting? Are you forgetting Leatherface? 1974. This came out, and there's few films that I go back that far to watch, and it comes down to like really Psycho, Leatherface, and The Exorcist for me. But there's very few. I stick more like the 80s, 90s. But for a movie like that to have come out in 1974 is just bravo.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the original slashers, like definitely Psycho. You know what I mean? Like hell, there's a character in Psycho named Samuel Loomis. You know what I mean? Like where do you think John Carpenter got that from?
I remember that.
And then you can't forget about Black Christmas either. That was something else. I think that in Texas came out like 2 months apart.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were right there. Believe it or not, I am going to piggyback
films
off
before their time. Films before their time.
Yeah, definitely. I am going to piggyback off with you for my number 2 and go with the original as well. For my number 2.
Okay, I'm actually shocked. I'm actually shocked.
Now, this for me is very, very close, because there are some things, with the original, but at the end of the day, by no means am I saying that it's not the best movie in the franchise. We're talking about what if you're laying them both on the table, I'm picking one over this one. You know what I mean? The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre makes me want to take a shower every time I watch it afterwards. It is so grimy and so like, good God, man. Like, it's just like,
I feel like you're sweating with them. Like,
not only that, it's just a dirty film. Like, seriously, like I just freaking, good God, man. Like, it is probably the most gritty movie that I've really ever seen in my life, that I would constantly, want to rewatch. The amount of things in this movie that were so epic and so awesome. A lot of the things that you talked about, I won't go into, a whole bunch of detail about that. But I always think of the dinner scene with Sally. Like, that was freaking epic. I think about the very end with him swinging the chainsaw in the sun. Like, that is permanently stamped in my brain. When someone says Leatherface, that is the sequence that comes to mind. It's just like something that was often often people tried to duplicate it in other Texas Chainsaw movies, but couldn't. Like, this movie had like no budget, whatsoever. And it came out with something that was not only controversial as shit when it came out, at this time. Did you know they were trying to get a PG rating on this? So they cut back a lot of the blood and gore, but they couldn't get the PG rating because it was so damn scary at the time. People are just like, there's no way we can put
I did not know that.
PG
And there's
rating
not a lot of blood in it.
There's not, and that's on purpose. This was, a fantastic movie. Now, granted, again, our ranking comes down to rewatchability and what we want to watch, but to me, from a filmmaking standpoint and from, it's a classic. It's the original. I mean, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, beautiful, beautiful film. Not visually beautiful, just beautifully done. And that's my number two.
I love
Let's
it.
see
You shocked me, man.
what the chat has to say. But again, like it comes down to rewatchability with
I
us.
love it, man. You shocked me there.
Let's see. Lydia is saying, I don't know how to explain it. Just the half mask and the hair made him look absolutely animalistic, and I loved it. Talking about the beginning. Yeah, he did.
It's like, why do you have a muzzle? Like something's not right about you, dude. Like, no. Like,
there's something going on under there, and hopefully it's not what happened in 2017.
Not gonna call you a bitch.
Right? Yeah, that'd probably be the last thing I'd say. I probably wouldn't say anything. James is saying, absolutely not. If he did, they'd be some ugly kids. That's if Leatherface had a kid.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh man.
And again, that comes down to like, what would that even look like? You know what I mean? Like how would, like, what dialogue would be? You know what? We're gonna go ahead and move on.
I think he'd look a little bit like Jedediah from 03. Like Jedediah.
Come back here, you little mutant. Jerry is saying, I love it when Leatherface slammed the metal door open. Yeah, that's iconic. Like seriously. Even in the original when he slammed it shut. I mean, the first time I saw that alone literally scared the hell out of me.
Slams like a boss, like
yeah. Yeah, Russell's agreeing. Yes, that was awesome. Jerry is asking, have you seen Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers? I have not. What did that get on IMDb?
I have not either. Jerry's dude. It's so awesome to talk to about horror. He's seen it all, man. I love it. I'll check that out though. I'll check that out.
Lydia's saying the original, I just had such unique energy to it. I wish I could watch it for the first time again. It was so unsettling and chilling. One of those movies that gives me that feeling in your stomach.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like unsettling, that's a great word to describe the original. Unsettling.
Well, and to kind of piggyback off of that, Lydia, I'd like to be able to watch that for the first time if I could in 1974 before we've, guys, they hadn't seen anything like that, man. Like now we've seen it all, guys, but you imagine sitting in a theater in 1974 and you're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, God, I'm jealous of those people. Like that had to be this, similar to The Exorcist. Like it had to be mind blowing. Like, yeah.
It was a time that you're not used to seeing those types of things whatsoever.
No.
And not to mention, and just piggyback a little bit off of what you said, from a time frame standpoint, there's no social media, there's no texting, there's no I can call anyone from my pocket. This is if I get stuck out in Texas, this is a possibility. You know what I mean? Like this, there is no communication out here. I am literally stuck. And the fear alone that would cause in someone. Now we're a little spoiled with the ability to reach in our pocket and get a hold of anyone at any time and say, hey, shit, here's where I'm at. Come help me.
So you
call 911 from my pocket.
You don't think 1974 Leatherface has got an iPhone 14? He can just...
If he does, yeah, he may. He seems like a popular guy. He might be able to work that out.
Yeah, you're so right, though, man. Like, I'm so jealous of the. I like to talk to some of the older guys that is, I saw Friday the 13th in the theater and this, that, and the other. It just had to be epic.
Yeah, definitely. God, I wish I could get rid of this cough. It's so annoying. James is saying that Hitchhiker was a freak, and I wouldn't pick a weirdo like that up, and those are the reasons why, because of these movies that you're just like, I don't think I want to pick them up. What if it's that like a guy from the original Texas Chainsaw.
And like what you were saying, Michael, they do it in such a genuine way. Like, yeah, that shit could happen. Like, right now, there's some backwood people, man. You know that are probably going to give you similar vibes to that hitchhiker if you pick them up. Like, they make it seem so, yeah, this could happen. Like,
and those are the types of feelings I get too. Like when I'm out driving somewhere far, like things like wrong turn pop in my head. Like, Jesus Christ, like I'm out here in like wrong turn land, and it's just like, yeah. Polar saying a remake surpassing the original. Yeah, I mean, there's only one movie left, and neither of us have said it yet, so we might as well just go ahead and talk about that for sure. The dinner scene gives me a migraine. Yeah, like
I will absolutely let you kick it off.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Let me just go ahead and go through some of these real quick. The filthy house with those chicken feathers and bones smell must have been horrible. Definitely.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, that had to be absolutely terrible. Lydia's saying one of my favorite tidbits about the original was the fact that they had to tell Gunnar to slow down while he was chasing Sally through the brush because he was outrunning her too quickly, even with the saw. That's crazy.
That's true. That's awesome.
How much of a beast do you have to be to outrun her at that size while carrying a real full weight chainsaw? Yeah, I mean, Jesus.
And I actually heard, some things you don't. I heard when they were auditioning for Leatherface for the original 1974. I heard that he walked in the audition room and was pretty much hired on spot because when he walked in, he took up the entire door. Like I've heard that.
Oh wow!
And I think that's just awesome. Like I love it. So I believe that's true. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But yeah, I heard that he was pretty much hired on spot. They said because this dude walked in and took up the entire door. Like just, and it's not so much tall. I believe he was just big all around. Like he's a Shrek, big ankles, big hands, big feet, like just big.
Right.
And say that's the same thing I'll say with Andrew Bonarski. I got to meet him a couple years back in Louisville, and this was years after. He was much older and stuff, and the guy was the same way, just big everywhere, man. Just a monster, big hands, big feet. I loved it. I freaking loved it.
It's freaking awesome.
It's like you don't want to meet Leatherface, and he's like 5'10" and 180 pounds. How you doing? No.
Polar is saying I lost phone service in West Virginia and was lost. Alarm bells went off. The one time I wished I wasn't a horror movie junkie. Yeah, I mean I get that. Like, seriously.
I get it. I get it.
Oh yeah. Russell is telling me to drink something for my cough, and I think I am going to go grab a water because I ran out. Matt, it looks like you have a mask there, so I'm going to let you kind of show what you have.
I do have
holding
a mask.
Off there.
I do have a mask.
While I go grab a drink of water real quick.
Get you some water, Michael.
I'll let you do that.
Knock that cough off.
I'll be right back.
All right. So, guys, we will be talking about none other than the 03 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I wanted to share this with you. I just picked this up recently. It is the 03 Leatherface mask, and it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite masks in general, not just of Leatherface, but just one of my favorite masks in general. So I'll show you this. I just picked this baby up. Look at this. That is terrifying. That is terrifying. Like, just that. When I think of Leatherface, that right there is what I think of. That is Leatherface, in my opinion. But yeah. What do you guys think? What's your best what's the best look of Leatherface? Now, I want to say the 1974, like I was mentioning earlier, it has. I love that it had so many different masks. You had the killing mask, you had the grandma mask, you had the pretty woman. Pretty woman. Speaking of pretty woman, that probably for me comes a close second to the '03. Like that mask is terrifying. You have this dude with a mask that he's, trying to look like a chick, and the lipstick's all messed up, got the blush and everything. Like, dude, somebody like that's coming at you with a chainsaw. I'm sorry, I'm gone. I'm gone. I am gone. But love to hear your guys' take on your favorite Leatherface mask for sure. For sure. But
Yeah, I caught the tail end of that mask as I was sitting back down, man. That thing looks freaking awesome.
did you want to see it real quick, Michael?
Yeah, let me see that.
I got you, buddy. I just picked this up. This is from A Swift Creations, but just gorgeous, man.
Oh, yeah, that was real nice.
That's what comes to mind when I think of old Thomas Brown Hewitt right there. But yeah. Love that.
Definitely.
And I got
that's my favorite looking Leatherface.
Yeah, me too. And I was saying, I think a very close second as far as unique and terrifying is got to be the pretty woman. Dude, a guy's coming at you with that, man. Like this face he's trying to look like a woman, and the lipstick's all messed up. Dude, I'm pissing myself, man. Like,
hey, I'll tell you what, that muzzle that he had on in the beginning, that kind of, I thought that was freaking awesome too.
Yeah.
It was simple, but yet it was effective, from a look standpoint. Like when do you remember when he's walking down the street, and the cop pulls up behind him, like, holy shit, look,
you raised this boy well, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Like, Jesus, like, look at this guy.
He was huge.
Jerry was saying, just don't make a wrong turn. Quotes. Yes, that would be the plan. Definitely. James is saying, bash that dude's head in with that hammer, seeing him twitching about like a fish out of water, then slam that door shut. Can't forget that scene. No, you can't. You cannot. And you have a few comments on the mask. Jerry is saying, that's sweet, Matt. Love it. I'll buy it. And Jerry says, sold.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Russell is saying, that's awesome, Matt.
Thank you, Russell.
Polar is saying, wow, terrifying for sure.
Yeah, it's like, who came up with I love this. I love, and like each stitch in this mask is like a different type of stitching. Like just the real, to make it realistic if he was doing this.
Yeah.
But who designs these, man? Like not just the '03, but the pretty woman, the grandma. Like that's the job. That's like a dream job. Get me on like special effects and creating his monsters. Like get me on Stan Winston's crew back in the day.
Lydia is saying the detail on that thing is wild, especially the stitching. Yeah, the stitching's cool. James is saying that poor guy on the wheelchair, what a way to get killed. He had no chance. No, he didn't.
No, he really didn't.
Russell is saying the 2003 version was my favorite Leatherface.
Of course, the gentleman in the wheelchair was getting a little hard to listen to. I'm not saying I want the poor guy to get chainsawed, but damn, he was getting a little on the annoying side.
How did you feel about the kid in Friday the 13th 5 when he got the axe to the back? Were you kind of wanting him to kind of take an axe to the back?
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, the original kid that got killed. That I don't remember what his name was. The kid was chopping wood and he ended up axing the guy.
Very similar to
a lot of.
But I would actually say that he was less annoying than the Leatherface guy. He had that like high pitch whine
Yeah.
to him that you remember, and it was just it was hard to listen to. You know, that over the candy bar guy. Yeah,
Lydia is saying my
I don't
top
want
three
to go camping
designs.
with either of them, but
No, not one bit. My top 3 designs, starting from number 1, is the original, the beginning, in 03.
original beginning at 03. Okay, okay.
Jerry is saying, careful with it, Matt. I'll pick it up Saturday.
Jerry, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
See, that's what you get for showing your stuff.
That is, man. I'm putting everything away.
Russell is saying, not just that his arm gets torn off in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface was creepy in that. He was. He was.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Matt, we are to number 1.
Yeah. Well, what a I'm sure we're all on the edge of our seat here.
Wondering what this could be.
Guys, it's and it's so impressive because, and I'm shocked, Michael, that you're right there with me, but I do think it's awesome. Because let's face it, guys, it's no easy task. It's to not just beat a classic out, but to beat a classic such as that was made so well, such as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974. And I'm with you as well, Michael. I'm not sitting here saying like it's but I'm not sure. But I'm on the fence. Like, is it the better movie? It's right there. But it does come down to, I make my decision actually pretty easily. 03 Leatherface for me has as much rewatch availability as some of my favorite Halloween movies, as some of my favorite Jason movies. I love this movie, guys. Down to, Jessica Biel, to Kemper, to Morgan. They're all relatable characters. They're all established, actors and actresses. The acting's great. The atmosphere. That's the first film since the original where, because I watched this in the theater, and from the moment it starts, you have that, okay, I'm in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, finally. We've had our part 3 bullshit. We had our Next Generation garbage. And finally, I was like, I had my popcorn. I went with my brother, and it took seconds, a couple minutes into the film. I'm like, okay, they're on the right track. You know right away. And then you get the sheriff, and and then you get Andrew Bernarski, guys. And we've already touched on this, but they just nailed it, man. Atmosphere, characters, the cast, the portrayal of Leatherface, how good he looked. It's got it all. It's got great kills. Chasing the Bring It. I loved it. And this was in the preview, but when he's, you don't know you're so dead, you don't know what the old man says. You're so dead, you don't even know it. And he's bring it, and slamming it, his little cane down, and then boom, Leatherface comes popping out like a badass out of hell. Chases the guy, saws his leg off, and it's a freaking crazy good ride, man. It's a crazy good ride. I like that Morgan was on my shit list for saying that he wanted to leave Kemper when they all wanted to stay for him. But then I love that he's, in my opinion, he somewhat redeems himself when, Jessica's about to get it, and he says, screw it, I'm going to go tackle this behemoth. And so I gave it to him for that. Like, he had some, he made up for himself there, and just everything about it, guys. I love the guy having her stab him because he just knows he's done, and it gives you that drama. It's got it all. Go ahead.
It does. By no means am I saying this is a better movie than the original. Like I said,
say that it is.
It's this movie, without the original, the impact the original had on horror changed the game. But I don't think that this movie changed the game for like remakes. Maybe it set an expectation, but at the end of the day, it is a remake. It is something that would have never existed without the original. It is something that would have never existed without, um, the Leatherface and, all those things. They just did it very well. And that makes me want to watch it more than the original because of the feeling that I get, the more modern feeling. I think that it wasn't, um, usually what I get with later in, the later sequels and remakes is like redundancy. And I don't feel like this was very redundant. One thing that I would have changed, if I wanted to do more with this, is not cutting Leatherface's arm off. For the simple fact that you knew that it was pretty much done for that storyline when that happened. There was nothing else from there. The only thing they could go do, to capitalize off the success of that movie was go backwards, because he had lost his arm at the end of this one. And a one-arm Leatherface is like a one-arm Jason or a one-arm Michael. I don't think they expected this to do as well as they did, or as well as it did. And that's why they did that. But my complaints are few and far between. And like I said, the original was a game changer for horror. It really was. And I don't think that the 2003 had the same impact on, the genre that the original had. And I think that's one of the reasons why it makes the original a better movie. But when I am sitting down in my ranking list looking at the two, I'm definitely putting this one in over the original because it's a funner watch for me. But by no means am I sitting here saying that this is a better movie. And I want to make that clear, because there's no way that this could do what that did for horror. When I look at the things that I loved so much about this movie, like there are some issues that I had if I'm really looking at it, like the hitchhiker, for example. Like when she's walking, she's walking forward and they're driving behind her and they go around her, but they're going the same direction as her because she passes the van and she's walking that direction, right? And they're like, well, let us give you a ride. And they get her in a car. So they get in and they take off and they're going the same direction she was walking. And she freaks out saying, you're going the wrong way. And it's like, well, that was the direction you were walking. Like, why were you walking that way if that's the wrong way?
I never thought of.
Like, what? Yeah, these are the things that keep me up at night, Matt. Okay. And these are why,
Could she have been so distraught she didn't really know where she was going, but she
you
saw
knew that we were going the wrong way, but yet this is the direction you were having. And I don't know whether to feel how I feel about it, but I was pretty impressed that she was able to pull that gun out of where she pulled that gun. It's like, did you have that up there the whole time? Like, it's almost impressive that was where it was. But the suicide scene, man, you want to talk about an impact of the movie. The movie's going in one direction and that just snaps it right into a Texas Chainsaw movie. You know what I mean? The way it was shown, and the angle, and I definitely don't want to say the word because of, YouTube and, the algorithm and stuff, but what happened, and the way that, that all went down, I thought was freaking crazy. The sheriff again, dude. Lee Ermey, come on, man. Like, fantastic. It's just one of those movies, once it starts, it keeps going. There's not a lot of downtime in that movie. And downtime, for those types of movies can either make or break those movies. And I think it did a really good job with that. But yeah, if I have any complaints about it, it would be, I probably wouldn't have cut Leatherface's arm off. And seeing what you could have done with that, moving forward. Because I think that they had a great cast of the family. And I think that there actually could have been more opportunities for Andrew Bernarski and, doing that version of Leatherface that everyone seemed to like so much. And definitely my opinion, of when I think of Leatherface, I think of Leatherface from that being my favorite version of Leatherface. But yeah, that's my number one. It's not, every movie has issues that you can, point out and say, well, why this, why that? But this one,
and not just his,
it was fun.
Not just his look from the mask, the apron, his gauntlets. It was it was beautiful, man. It was,
Yeah, the whole look of Leatherface to me, if I picture Leatherface in my mind, that's the look of my favorite.
God, it was
Like
so
I said earlier, the first thing I think of when I think of Leatherface is from the original when he's swinging the chainsaw and
yeah, yeah,
the sun.
yeah.
But if I'm thinking of a standalone Leatherface just standing there, that's the one that I want. If I'm making a movie, that's the Leatherface that's in my movie. You know what I mean?
He was
If I'm
absolutely terrifying. Like,
Yeah, and I mean that's what you want. You know what I mean? That's what you want out of Leatherface. And he's big and he's violent and he's not slow either.
no,
Like this dude's moving. He's
it's
definitely something to be afraid of.
like that's the Leatherface I'd like to see it go up against, like the '09 Jason. Damn, could you imagine? Like, oh,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
carnage, the car, like the dude.
the only thing with that, and I don't want to go too deep into it because this could be another 2 hours with me
Sure,
and you
sure,
talking
sure,
about this,
sure, sure.
was the fact that she was able to get him with a meat cleaver. And it only makes me think of like what could Jason do, in that aspect to where
Well, she came from an angle where he was off, because I've watched that a few times. She played it really smart. She did come at an angle where he was not facing her, and she brought that down with both arms. And with a meat cleaver, swinging it with both arms, you're going to do some damage even with one blow.
yeah.
Yeah, she did do that, but by no means was I like, oh, that was stupid. She would have never been able to do that, because the way they shot it, yeah, man, it could have, yeah. I think it was plausible. Was it my favorite thing that happened? No, like, but dude, you come down with somebody swinging both hands with a meat cleaver right into their bicep, it's gonna do some damage.
Right. But you think about like an epic, villain. If any of them need two hands, it's Leatherface, to wield that chainsaw.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you kind of took that away, and you could see that as she was getting away at the end, and he kind of just swung it at the car, like he had no,
I
real
love when he
ability
picks
to.
the arm up and is like slamming it against the lockers and shit. God, it's awesome.
He knows. He definitely knows. Russell is saying his number one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre number 4.
Nobody's gonna be
Yeah,
upset with
there's
you on
no
that.
debate with that whatsoever. James is saying the same thing.
Damn it, James.
James is saying the 2003 was right behind it. That the number 2. Yeah, like it was great. Lydia is saying him coming out of that door after the old man was beating the cane on the floor will always just give me a little bit of an adrenaline rush. Absolutely wild. Yeah.
Yes, bring it. Bring it. And the guy's even like, bring what? Then boom. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I see.
Yep.
It's time to go.
Now I see.
It's time for me to go.
Russell is saying 2 words, Jessica Biel.
Oh gosh, she looks so good. It's stupid good in that movie. Like, gosh.
Yeah, they definitely kept her wet in that movie too.
Oh,
It rained a
man, like,
lot, when she was
oh.
running. They definitely. I'm
And
pretty sure
Jessica
that was
Biel's
on
always had, she's always had a special place here for me. And for her being one of my favorite horror films, yeah, man. But in my defense, guys, I talked about how much I love this, and I don't even know if I brought Jessica Biel up once. That's not why I like it. It's not why I like it, but it's a great plus.
Yeah. Polar is saying the hitchhiker scene hit harder for me in the remake. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That shot was that whole scene was fantastic. And you're right, Michael, back to what you said. Once she, does what she does and the way it's shot and everything, like this movie goes boom into full throttle. You're like,
Yeah.
okay.
And I mean, just the angles that they shot that at and the
Beautiful.
see-through, and it
Beautiful.
was just wow. I mean, definitely impactful. Like it made me sit back like, whoa.
Yeah,
Like this just got serious really fast.
it was wild.
James is saying he'd be like a one-eyed cat at a seafood store. Russell saying in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually did happen in Texas for real. Well,
Yeah.
it's,
He means they
to an
shot it in
extent.
Texas. They shot the movie in Texas, is what he's saying.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because I know that they say this is based on a true story, which is
No, I don't think that's
crap.
what Russell's saying.
Yeah. Okay.
They shot it in Texas. Yeah, that's correct.
James is saying he could have had a chainsaw attached to his arm stump. Are you getting like Ash vibes there, James? Is that where we're going with this?
Oh man.
Evil Dead reference James. Yes. James is saying he looked medieval in the 2003.
Yes. I get that vibe. He looks stupid. He looks so good.
And Lydia is saying, give that boy Ash Williams treatment. Yeah, see, like that's definitely.
I'm actually gonna work on. I've got this torso, this big like muscular torso I picked up from a guy. It's in the garage, and I think I'm gonna throw this mask on it, do the right. I think I'm gonna make a whole like torso up 03 Leatherface bust out of it, and yeah, sport it down here. I think
that's super cool.
I think that'd be great.
I wonder if you should get like a chainsaw to put like in front of it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not against that.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
just like it doesn't have to be attached to anything. Just maybe it's like sitting in front of like the bus,
old and rusted and but gnarly and bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean I think that definitely look good with that. Like, so
slap a little blood on it. Yeah, man.
Well, we have officially ranked Texas Chainsaw, so that'll be definitely another one.
Fun, you guys.
Yeah. And I mean, we actually went an hour longer than we usually do. So for 9 movies, you could tell how engaged everyone was. And, you know, we've been on for almost 3 hours at this point. And again, you know, when you're having a great show and you know when there's a lot of engagement, when the time goes by just like that, you know, and that's what it did. You guys are always great, and we love doing this for you guys, and we love the engagement that you guys have with us too.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Love you guys.
So moving forward, when this is over, Matt, hang around backstage for a minute and let's talk about next week's show. We're going to figure out what that is, and then definitely make sure that you join me this week. And I will be putting the information up here on YouTube, and I will also be putting it up on my Instagram page. And I've just started my Facebook page, and I really haven't done too much with it yet. But I definitely will be doing more with that soon as I get used to Facebook. I've been off Facebook since like 2015, so it's been a little bit of an adjustment for me. But I definitely want to start promoting a little more on there. And I wanted to let you guys know that I'm also looking into Twitch. And I am going to possibly be streaming there as well. So when these shows are on, I'm looking at trying to dual stream with Twitch as well to try to get, the show out there a little more and, let more people see it. And I think that that'll be fun once I work out the details with that as well. So there's a lot of things coming up for the channel. We'll definitely Wednesday. Teresa, if you're still here, I know it's late. We will be looking at The Walking Dead on Wednesday. We have a lot more to talk about there, especially with the new stuff coming out soon. We're getting closer to the Negan and Maggie show, which I can't freaking wait for. So there's a lot of things going on. So a lot of things in the future coming for this channel. And I'm so excited about it. I don't know what to do first. Be looking for some shorts this week. Some things that I'm working on. If you guys enjoy my shorts, they're always a good time to put together for everyone. And I always enjoy reading the comments for those as well. But Matt, again, dude, another great show. Another good franchise. This wasn't my favorite franchise, but watching them all week this week, I definitely had a few opinions of the movies that I did see. And that robot leg remote control fight, I think that will be like burned in my head for a while. And you know what? That might have to make an appearance as a short to celebrate such a wonderful show that we had today. I definitely think I am going to put something together for the remote control leg fight. That was so epic in the next generation. But yeah, join us Wednesday We'll definitely be back. And if I do anything else during the week, I'll be sure to promote it on social media and let everybody know. My mods, I'll get with you guys soon on Instagram, probably tomorrow, to let you guys know what's going on and what we're doing moving forward in the future. And again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Let me hold on one second. I got a message here that's definitely one that I want to put up here. Let's see. Robert the Wolfman, howdy. Say you were live, and I wanted to pop on and say thank you for covering Dylan's new nightmare. We loved your breakdown of the trailer. Now, if you guys don't know who this is Robert the Wolfman, who left a comment, and he works directly with the YouTube site that made Dylan's new nightmare. Robert, I really want to say thank you for popping on here, and we love talking about the fan films and everything, and what you guys are doing over there looks absolutely fantastic. And if you are interested, Robert, and again, I appreciate you stopping by and saying hello to everyone and thanking us for this. We want to say, for one, thank you for making it. Fans like us who have missed Freddy for so long, you guys have given us something to look forward to, and not just something that's like, oh, I might check it out. Something that we're not only looking forward to, but we're super excited to watch. I think that everything looks fantastic, and we will be debuting that on the show for the live stream, and we can't wait to see what you guys have done there. If you guys ever want to hop on and talk about the movie, we would love to have you here, and you can contact me on Instagram at moviesandbeyond78. And I definitely look forward to hearing from you guys, because we would love to. Now, we know you can't give any spoilers, but we would love to talk about what it was like making that movie. But again, thank you very much for stopping by. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
But again, this was a fantastic show. And I can't say, how much I was looking forward to tonight, Matt. And the fact that we went for, as long as we did tonight, just goes to show you how fun it was. Oh, yeah, we'd love to come on and chat. I'll have Cecil get a hold of you. Thank you very much, Robert. We're definitely looking forward to it. And I know all the people in the chat are looking forward to hear from you guys as well. All right. On that note, I want to say thank you to everyone for showing up. Matt, hang around backstage and we'll catch up. And you guys, same bat time, same bat channel next week. But if you are loving The Walking Dead and you do want to hang out with us Wednesday, we will definitely be here. And again, I can't say thank you enough.
Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everybody.